Okay.
Sorry.
D&D time.
Time to lurk.
Except why is that broken now? Oh, right, because I need to move people over into their spaces because I'm an idiot. That would probably be a good thing to do.
Where's
And
I need that. That's not it. No, seriously, where's my notebook?
there we go.
Oh no.
There we go.
Oh no.
Everybody's in their boxes.
In
Oh,
the
there it is!
boxes. Yay.
Ah, I didn't lose it.
I know what I'm doing. I'm a pro strammer. Pro strammer.
All right.
Okay.
Last we left, you'd spent a few days unwinding? ? In Gordon after returning from the wild.
A few days.
Yeah, we
Think-
just
it
we
was
just
been like
got
a
in.
day.
Yeah.
You just okay, so it took a couple of days to get back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've got some notes pulled up, but apparently my notes are not I must have
I think
it.
we like spent like a day, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Day into the night, and then we met the
then it
dwarf.
is just one day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, getting sick really rebooted.
fair.
But you came back, spent a day helping prepare either through assisting the Gordon militia, help clear out the city, worked to give my brain is just like it's just like I've got my notes in front of me, but the words they're there, but wow, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I just needed more caffeine or something today. I don't know.
Relatable.
Okay, so I'm gonna
One of
stop
those
looking at my
nights,
notes
Saul.
and just go from memory.
I believe
Brains
in
are
you.
So you spent a day helping out the militia and the remaining survivors of Gordon, either shoring up their defenses, teaching them some new techniques, or in general trying to be your regular helpful self. During that time, Velis attuned and then unattuned to a dagger that may have some sort of Delkir influence. But otherwise, he seemed to come away from the experience relatively unscathed. Things have been, other than an occasional skirmish or clearing out in the city, things have been relatively peaceful. You did get some additional information about where the monks and the aberrant stronghold might be up in the mountain from Azra, mine foreman who had old ghost stories from her dad from a while ago, prospecting rivers up. But so far, that's where what you've been able to gather in terms of information or hints, at least until you've got access to additional divination magic. I believe that there wasn't anything that anyone had left undone. So
It was
whether you all
drinking moonshine apparently in a tavern or in wherever
Yeah.
this was. I'm not quite
No,
sure.
I had a couple errands that I wanted to
Mhm.
run.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that you had to cut out a little bit early.
Yeah.
Well then that would be while a few folks are probably talking with Azra into the evening. If there are things that you need to do during the day,
Yeah.
like
So mostly, I wanted to see if there's anybody in the town that is capable of doing simple enchantments.
Ooh.
Not like not anything too intensive, but
What is a simple enchant?
just a minor illusion.
Oh, like to be able to cast it? Yes, they very likely could. If you
Well,
ask
I want to
around
enchant an
someone.
item with a minor illusion to change its appearance, basically.
Oh, okay. Puma was probably the most likely person.
Yeah, I
Um,
know. Which is why I was sad when he left town.
Right. Um,
Because I had this idea, but it was not in character justified yet.
Gotcha. Yeah, and there isn't really going to be I mean there's smiths and stuff, but
Maybe like one kiddo that didn't learn enough magic to go with the elves.
maybe. But it's I would say in probably asking around, what you glean is that the elves were actually pretty restrictive about the usage and application of arcane magic, and discouraged non-elven practitioners.
Racist.
And so there were never really a lot of enchanters or mages or arcanists or anything like that really in the city, that weren't descended from the Shatterkai, and most of them, if the ones that at least survived the initial whatever, left.
As usual, the council runs everything.
Damn it.
Racist shadow
Yeah,
elves.
but like, yeah, specifically arcane knowledge and such is especially limited among the survivors.
What we need to do is we need to find another caravan on the road to the mountains and just find random traveling mages. Like you do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you have minor illusion? Couldn't you eventually enchant something yourself?
I mean, I don't know how much time it would take to
I feel like
basically
it
make it
takes-
permanent.
Permanent magic item
It takes a lot
creation
of
like
time.
that requires like a workshop and
Yeah.
resources
Yeah.
and like even a minor enchantment. Like, if you don't have a bunch of simulacra to build it for you, it'll take time.
Yeah.
Even then, Matt's like, yeah, we'll do it in a day is a little compressing of the standard timeline.
Mhm.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but you specifically did learn that there are few arcane magic practitioners left. There weren't any specifically like shops or guilds or really libraries or anything of that sort.
Well, in that case, I might still just get the other half of
Of
my
what you're
idea.
doing? Okay.
Yeah, just in case.
Sure.
Basically, I just want to get a plain sword, and I will pay the full
Oh.
price for it, and I will just want to break off a similar piece.
Gotcha.
to
Yeah,
the,
like you
the
can
shard.
that takes no effort, and you're not even
I figured
like,
that part wouldn't be a problem.
they don't actually take your money. They're more than happy to give you a sword.
I won't complain.
And then watch in shock and awe as he breaks it.
Yeah. Well,
We're gonna do that away.
To actually break it,
Yeah.
you're probably gonna need the assistance of a smith with
Yeah.
some tool.
However that goes about.
And they're like, so, oh yeah, we got plenty of swords, all sorts of good quality. And okay,
Break it.
Bring
want
me
the
your
what?
shittiest sword.
So
just wanna
they-
break about a foot off the end.
Right. So they find like some apprentices, janky ass creation, and like, okay, so we can break this if you want. I mean, if you really want, we can break an actual, but it's kind of a waste of a sword. I mean, if you want it to be like if you're gonna eventually make it magic to look like something else, that's one thing. You can probably get anything you want, but
I
they'll
basically, as long as it looks enough like like a solid
blade
piece
hilt
of a sword.
Oh yeah, like the sword tip or
The tip.
Oh yeah, that works. That's easy. There's like discarded stuff that you without actually
Cool.
sacrificing
Yeah.
dozens and dozens of hours of work that the smith put into a blade. But yeah, no, he has plenty of cast-offs and discards and whatnot that he can even polish up a little bit to make it more authentic looking.
I mean, the look of it, as long as the shape and structure are sound, I don't really care about the outside appearance.
It's mostly just making it look like an actual sword tip rather than like a sword blank or something.
Yeah.
Either way, you have what you were looking for. At least the physical object.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, if I can't get the other part, that's really all I wanted to do.
Okay. I mean, you could probably scrounge around, find broken pieces, but just as readily. But yeah, not so much with the mages and enchanters.
Cool.
Do you catch up with everyone else later that evening?
Yeah.
Okay. In which case you hear Ozra's tale, and well, you hear a couple of Ozra's tales. She has quite a few of them.
Who's
Um,
Ozra?
Ozra. Oh yes. Okay. So you weren't here. You had to kind of bow out a little early. So they went asking around, looking for someone who might know anything about what's up in the mountain. And so they were pointed to Ozra. She's she is or was one of the foremen for the mines, in charge of a lot of the operations and things like that.
Badass
Not
dwarf lady.
not the head boss. That was always going to be one of the elves. But yeah, no, she is sort of loud and gregarious, prone to boasting, older, but built like a Mack truck. She's probably about as wide around as she is. Lots of scars on her hands and arms,
Okay.
whether it's from rough years working in a mine or fight. It's hard to tell. But she also seemed to be in possession of some sort of dwarven minor moonshine, and was handing it out pretty readily and had accumulated quite a number of
We all got a little bit of peanut
fans.
thinner.
Yeah, it's not much better than but she relayed a story that her father had told her about trying to find other sources of wealth up in the mountains, and he would basically do a lot of prospecting, river panning, stuff like that, just looking for other options other than what the elves controlled, because he had a whole plan that they would start their own mine and eventually accumulate enough wealth to kick all the elves out. Never happened. But it didn't stop him from getting swindled left, right, and center, trying all sorts of wacky, unrealistic schemes and whatnot. But one of the times that he had gone upriver, he had said that he had heard what sounded like strange, what he had described as the mountains singing. In a sort of voiceless song that just really creeped him out. And it was a particular river, probably like a day or so out from the mines themselves. And he left and never went back.
That's interesting.
But it's something that he had never encountered or experienced before. But, you know, no one really believed him because by that point in his old age, this was
Just like
probably
Bell's father.
yeah, it was probably less than a decade before he'd passed too long after, and most people thought he was off his rocker. But these days, weird things in the mountains doesn't seem quite so far-fetched.
Yeah.
We're specifically looking for weird things.
Yeah.
The mines themselves are about a day's easy walk journey out of the city. Shorter if you can go faster. About halfway, there's what's called station, and basically it is it's like there's a kind. It's like like an inn slash stable slash warehouse. Basically, it's just a location halfway between the mine and the city for miners and workers and supplies going in both directions for people to hole up if it's inclement weather and things like that.
It's like one of those big travel rest stops.
Yeah. And that's basically it's at the foot of where the base of the mountain, where it really starts getting to be a heftier climb up into where the mines are located. The paths, the road itself is not, it's not paved, but it's well maintained enough for, you know, multiple wagons to cross back and forth side by side. Just because it was one of the main sources of wealth for the city, that they had this mine that had a number of not like super rare material, but copper and other highly sought after items specifically.
How does all this stuff she's talking about compare with the riddle I more or less got from what's his name?
The mine would be, I mean, everything about the mine would be too well known to frequently travel, you know. And so the riddle itself is specifically really meaning some place that didn't get a lot of traffic. And the key, I don't know if I ever wrote it down or just kind of.
No, I never got. I basically wrote in my inventory that I have a transcription of it, but I don't have.
I don't think I've ever made it. Yeah, the gist of it, you know, writing something like writing arcane riddles really tricky. The gist of it though is that it's a place that doesn't see the light of day, but it's not under the mountain. The implication is that there's some sort of valley or something like that that is would not be visible from above and would have to sort of be entered on foot to really be seen. Probably some kind of, very likely, like some kind of chasm or something, some kind of natural feature where there's just not enough light as the sun passes overhead to really shine down whatever it is. And more likely than not, canyons and chasms and stuff are frequently formed by rivers. So, potential clue with this guy was panning on a river and got weirded out by something. That may be one of the places to check.
Yeah, 'cause it doesn't sound like it's in the mine.
Oh,
but
no,
maybe in that vicinity.
Yeah, the mine is just it's the deepest not but if you're going to get into the mountain, any kind of starting point, the mine would be it, because there's a road that takes you along the smoothest, easiest path to travel into the mountains, and then from there you can set up and explore. So I think Velis had had planned at least to go back to the home with the oversized bed. I don't know if everyone else was going to similarly.
Like how we've just made that like our lodging place.
Yeah, sort of claimed
You
dibs.
mean the place that got totally
Oh,
Covered in
covered in spider webs?
covered in spider webs?
Oh god. Shit, I forgot about that.
I guess the question is
Are
it
you
still
sure about
covered
that?
in spider
Yeah,
webs?
just check out the outside of that before.
Because Aiden will definitely bring that up.
Sure, if Velis got there and saw spider webs, he would nope out so hard you wouldn't see him for a week.
Yeah.
You sure about that? You know, the place where
We
all
need
the
to-
spiders found us before?
Right.
Webs.
Speaking of Velis and spider webs,
Hey.
We were literally talking about Velis and spider webs.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because we're trying to figure out whether we should go back to the place that we stayed last time, because it was covered in spider webs that morning.
Mm-hmm.
Because it had a massive comfy bed.
Honestly, I don't think
That's
it
fine.
matters. I think if she wants to figure out where I am, she can wherever we go.
If you want, sure.
I mean,
if
Though,
we get
in
there and it's
fairness,
covered in
I
spider webs.
don't want to sleep in spider webs, so it's not just about that.
Well, it was
It was just on the window.
Yeah, the
Yeah, it was
spider
just
webs
the
were on
outside.
the exterior,
Okay.
like covering some of the branches, and it wasn't like the entire tree was wrapped in it. It was more like there are spider webs all over.
It was
one
marking.
area.
It was just marking that she knew. That's all.
Mhm. The interior is still web free.
Dr. GT, thank you so much for the 5 months of subs. Aren't you?
Okay, I couldn't remember the details of the spider webs.
So it's as good a place as any.
Suppose we stick with what is familiar then.
Okay. Is there anything that anyone would like to do before retiring for the evening?
I mean, I think partying with the dwarf and her moonshine was sort of the end of our
Was-
There's that.
Some of you were going to take a little bit longer before going to bed,
Yeah.
or bread, as it were.
Yeah, I know Velis and Elias are drinking a lot.
No, just a little.
Just one
as
drink.
much
is
as
what
as
I
much as you
said.
could
Yeah.
have of the moonshine. Yeah.
Right.
I'm just talking to Wiria. Pernell's gonna think for a bit and potentially eventually wander over to Aiden, just kind of still probably slightly gripping that glass of like moonshine she's been nursing all night with both hands, and just trying to think. Hey, allow me to apologize.
I will certainly allow you to.
I stand by what I said. Most of it. But I regret how I said it. I was far too angry, and it was not fair of me, I suppose. Did not allow you to talk much. It did not help anyone. I should not have struck you. That was terrible of me, and I'm sorry.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, she smacked him in the face before she yelled at him.
Oh, okay.
That was wrong, and I'm sorry.
I'll be right back. Sorry.
Could have been worse.
Worse.
Could have stabbed me.
I have no intention of... I would not stab you or anyone else. Knowingly. Just wish you would talk to us all more, that is all. But I did not explain that in the best way.
It's tough to break habits sometimes.
I understand that. Perhaps a bit more than you think. But just gets frustrating sometimes and worrisome. And it was frightening at times. Don't you understand that?
Starting to. It's weird thinking about people caring about the things you do.
Think that over for a moment. Didst doth your brother not? For one, you say that you are not worried about thinking of others, but you seem to have been around others and traveled with them more than you have not, from what you have explained.
Yeah, but there's a difference between traveling with people you're working with and traveling with people who apparently seem to have a vested interest in you as a person.
I suppose. But like I said, you seem to travel quite a bit with your brother. Was that not the case?
I don't know, maybe it just doesn't... Maybe it's not the kind of thing that I think about. You know, it's been me and him for as long as I can remember, and me and him, and then everybody else.
I see.
You know,
Suppose the whole point is I doth not know. Entirely.
I'm not sure I get it myself, because you start thinking about it a certain way, then kind of like, well, where does that train of thought get you? It's kind of, if I get him back, then what? Just go back to the way things were.
Is that what you have been thinking? Or I suppose not thinking.
Kinda. I feel like I've just been so focused on the task of getting him back. I don't know how much thought I put into what happens after that.
Well, with some time to think, what wouldst you like to happen?
I'd like for him to be alive.
Well, that of course. But after, assuming that goes according to plan, which I certainly hope.
I guess it kind of depends on him. I mean, I told you before. Kind of feel like I'm the one who's needed him more than he needs me. And if I don't have him, where does that put me?
Well,
This is deep shit. I don't feel like diving too much into it.
no,
But
of course not.
honestly, I shouldn't.
Take a sip of the thing. Oh, God.
I need more of those, I think.
I'm certain Azra has quite a bit left. Actually, Jill gonna just pass it out. I need not any more of that. That's.
I don't know how much I may have already had or not, but certainly at least take a bit of it.
As
Not
wish.
drunk enough for this life conversation.
As wish half of us did not need it for that sort of thing. Peeking over at Elias, and Vel's probably still drinking at the time. But it is good to talk about it eventually. I know you don't not wish to. And I can understand for how very different we are in some aspects. I can see how we are so very similar in some strange ways.
You seem to respect that, at least.
I respect some of it. Apparently, not enough at times. And again, I apologize.
Don't worry about it too much.
That
can
is my
take it.
secret. I always worry.
I know.
Again, habits die hard.
Fair.
But if you ever think more on it, at least. Attempt to. Probably have some idea. I'll be able to. I don't know. Consider possibilities. Consider more than just moment to moment. It helps sometimes. It hinders others, but it doth help sometimes. Let's head back whenever we want.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to get anything done?
I think we accomplished
up.
everything she was planning to today.
Whenever we do finally go to sleep, I think that Velis would take a completely unnecessary watch
Okay.
just for
Old time's sake.
personal comfort.
Just because Velis.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Probably take a last
But-
watch.
Mm-hmm. Okay. The watches are unnecessary. You do hear occasionally the footsteps of what would likely be a guard or a watch themselves making their way around. Not particularly quietly. But it looks as if, despite the seeming relative peace that they've achieved, they're still on alert, both for monsters as well as perhaps elves, intent on retaking what they see as theirs. The dread has faded, but an uneasy anxiety seems to have replaced it, with a lot of people not knowing what exactly is going to come next. But those of you on watch don't notice or perceive or encounter anything unusual other than the occasional snores and sounds of your companions sleeping. The next morning does not bring extra spider webs or spiders or monsters or elves to your doorstep. But
Hooray.
just a quiet morning, so be sure, I don't know if there's any spells to cast or anything like that, but you can consider taking a long rest, recovered anything, and if you want to make any spell selections for the day, I mean, if you want to kind of talk about what you want to do for the day before you make spell selections,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
Enjoy actually going through her usual morning routine for once in a while.
A little rusty.
Well, yeah.
You're pretty sure your form is not what it should be.
No, it got way off after that. Good morrow.
Morning.
We got a bunch of
Yeah, we have a whole test.
Would I be able to get 1,500 gold worth of rubies out of that?
Ooh. Rubies specifically?
Yes.
Oh. What was the total gold piece value that I gave?
Let's see. $10,800.
That's what's
10,000.
left. That's after what we
That
took
was
out
impressive.
as well.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty hilarious that we both.
That was very impressive.
1,500 gold pieces worth of rubies is a significant amount. And thus far, there hasn't been anything in particular about rubies that have been associated with Guardian or the culture here. I would say you could probably get maybe a good 75 to 80% of the way there.
Okay.
But you're going to but in order to do that, you're probably going to have to sacrifice some amount of gold, because if you're going for rubies, you're going to be like pulling them out of settings and things like that. But you could probably gather, I don't know, 80% of 1,500.
I mean, if it's 80%, that would be 1,200.
1,200.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
John
Yes.
did math.
So you've got 1,200.
300. So.
But
I don't know if there's a way I can. Yeah, it's.
you're gonna have to pull apart various other items and things.
Mhm.
So that will reduce the value of some of the other jewels and such, because you're pulling it apart. If you want to extract all the rubies.
Sure. I mean, I don't. Is it
I don't know if we
possible
had
to,
specific plans.
like,
Not a significant amount
pawn
of it,
stuff and procure the remainder in town?
but the city hasn't quite returned to
Yeah.
a
That's fair. I was just asking.
regular, mercantile and trade kind of thing. The off the top of anyone's head, the most likely source for additional gems and such would probably be the elves up at the lake. Most of the high value items that you all grabbed were things that were pulled from the homes and whatnot. I mean, they were fairly well looted and scavenged. Anything of use or value was sort of grabbed and collected. I mean, didn't I say that you guys took a certain percentage, but that there is still quite a lot left?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I thought we had everything.
No, I don't think we took it all.
I don't think you took like the entire accumulation of it.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, you could definitely go back to the pot, so to speak, and scavenge around for some. Because it's not like anyone's doing anything with a bunch of fancy jewelry. That's why they threw it all in a couple of crates and just let it sit there.
Cool.
But I think that would make sense.
We go back to the Empire where we can go to all these shops and shit.
You don't have to go back. I mean, you don't have to go
I
back
guess
to necessarily the Empire. You can go to
Nicodranus, Damali.
Yeah, you can go Port Damali, go to Nicodranus.
Are we ever
If
going to go back
only
to
our
Fort
party
Damali?
had any form of fast travel.
I mean, in fairness, Wiria can learn teleportation.
Give me enough levels. I think I get like Tree Stride or something eventually, like level
Transport via
18 or
plant.
something, or yeah.
But I
give me,
can't.
like,
Stride or transfer
6
their
more
plants. Those are two very different things.
I know. Well, hang on. Let me look it up. I don't remember.
Transfer via plants is the high one.
So, Aiden, those crates and those boxes are in what were the council chambers.
Sweet.
And so, when you go back, there are guards posted, but you and the rest of the party have free reign to go wherever it is that you please. And you're not used to posted guards recognizing you and then not necessarily saluting you, acknowledging you with pleasant smiles and greetings.
And not
hitting on you.
Yeah.
Not hitting on you either.
Recognizing you, maybe.
But yeah, generally, everyone has a positive reaction to all of you. So it's
That is super weird.
certainly unusual.
Super normal for Leah.
Yeah, Wiria doesn't find this especially odd. Like, people like Wiria.
Right.
Yep.
But for those of you who have spent a lot of time in the shadows and avoiding guards and the law, to have
I don't know what you're talking about.
okay. So when you do go there, as is typical of most of the times that you've seen him, Indil has a number of folks around him, who are all like impatiently trying to speak over one another. But there's sort of for lack of a better term, some sort of quartermaster type person who's kind of in charge of a lot of logistical inventorying of goods. And it's set up where they're situated. And when you approach and you're like, hey, I want rubies, he's like, yeah, sure, whatever, go. He seems completely uninterested in your purpose. And so it's not too difficult for you to scavenge the remaining amount of what you need. Cool.
Now I need to find a place to grind them into dust.
Very likely there's probably some place on this side or maybe in the other where there'd be a jeweler or something like that
Or
you
a
could-
big
where you could do that.
rock.
Big seems
Yeah.
less.
Easier said than
Yeah, then you have to clean it up.
Right. You there on your way out, you notice one of the people who had been speaking with Indil. Seems to sort of be very, very angrily stalking away. Which would be maybe a little bit more intimidating if she wasn't like a hair over 4 feet tall, with massive thick spectacles, and very, very unruly curly brown hair. She looks too tall to be a halfling, but too short to be an elf. Her ancestry seems to be a little indeterminable. But based on her garb, which is relatively clean and well put together, but not at all wearing armor or anything like that. She seems to not be part of the militia. But what specifically catches your eye, other than the sort of almost impossibly thick glasses that make her eyes look really, really big.
As in Coke bottles.
She looks to be wearing a sort of cobalt blue, like a cowl of sorts, and a brooch that looks like it's got the insignia of the Cobalt Soul.
I was gonna say, you say cobalt blue. I was like,
Yeah.
Either Cobalt Soul or major misdirection.
Yep.
But she seems to have been upset by whatever it was that she was conversing with Indil about, and probably passes by you or near you on her way out, as you've collected all of your rubies. But you were looking for some sort of historian knowledge type person.
How many of us know about the Cobalt Soul? Cobalt Soul. I don't know if I don't know if Pernell does.
I know Aiden would.
How far back does it go?
Yeah. Mel probably wouldn't. Leah probably wouldn't.
Would Elias?
Maybe.
Elias?
I forget where Cobalt Soul is.
Is there a
located.
Cobalt Rosa
Cobalt Soul is global.
Vasselheim?
Yeah, they're global, and they worship Ioun, and so very likely there would be a presence in Vasselheim.
Mm-hmm. That was
Branch of the Slayer's Take or something.
Yeah, I mean,
I assume
the Slayer's
we're
Take
just
is
on, like,
almost
stories.
Yeah, it is a
yeah. Like you know that they run a lot of they have a series of libraries throughout the Empire, and are known to be researchers and historians.
I assume all of us didn't go with Aiden to get rubies.
No.
So it's just
Aiden went alone.
matters.
yeah.
Oh, okay. That was the assumption. Okay.
Okay, I was
You
curious.
actually assumed everybody went with you to get the rubies?
I don't know.
You don't know. We don't know if you told
The
us.
entire
If
group
someone
goes
says
to
they
buy
go do
rubies.
something, I am going to presume that they go alone unless someone explicitly says that they're going to go with them.
Okay.
Also, it's very characteristic of Aiden
Yeah.
to go do something on his own.
That's fair.
Also, no one knows why Aiden is prying
Yeah.
rubies out of jewelry.
Yep.
I have a guess, but out of character.
But in character,
Yeah,
no one
in
knows
character,
why
no
Hayden
idea.
is buying rubies out of jewelry.
All right. So as the rest of you have gotten up and gotten ready for the day, I don't even know if Aiden explained why it was that he left, but after
I mean, at this point, probably not. It's gone down that path.
I don't know if he had to get the stuff out of the bag of holding or wherever that stuff is being kept. But he left on some kind of errand. What are the rest of you going to be doing?
I know that Elias wanted to use legend lore, so I was gonna help look for some incense, rates of houses.
I could help with
Okay.
that.
I'd probably also just look for anything interesting in said houses while looking for incense, just out of sheer curiosity.
Sure.
Kleptomaniac.
Yeah, Pernell will help look for incense and be like, oh no.
He's looking for incense. He's just curious if there's anything else interesting too.
After a couple of houses, these places have been very thoroughly searched. And anything, like I had said, anything of use or value had already been taken. Nothing was tossed. Like these places weren't like ransacked, but they were carefully searched for anything that could be of use. I mean, even down to like clothes and linens and bedding and all of those things. Lots of it had been taken. So a lot of the stuff that's left are a lot of sculptures and art pieces and tchotchkes and decorations and whatnot. There don't seem to be a whole lot of things like incense. But probably after maybe an hour or two of careful searching through a number of these places, you're pretty sure that you're not going to find what you're looking for in these homes. But you do end up getting to one particular place that it's unlike a lot of the other homes and such that were built into trees. This seems to be a standalone dwelling that's made of just completely out of field stone. You're not sure what it would have looked like prior to when everything was covered in illusions, but this thing is explicitly stone with a stone door. And as you approach it, your instincts tell you that there's something off about this particular domicile.
I want to check the door for any traps.
As you approach it and you begin to inspect it, can you please roll a perception check as you search for...
Can I aid?
Do you have...
I do perception.
Go ahead and just make it... You can go ahead and make an investigation roll.
Mine's 13
Okay.
for perception.
Sure.
Investigation is way better.
Oh.
Yeah, and my investigation is way worse. So that's a 12.
Can we trade?
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's not too difficult. So, the people who did the scavenging, left markers and notes, carved into tables and doorways and things like that, to sort of call out what they took and found, and this house has been cleaned and whatnot. Quick perusal. There is nothing marking anything on this particular location, and you get a sense that there may not be any mechanical traps, but you're getting a prickly sensation. You think there might be magic involved. place.
See, now I just want to know what's in there even more.
What is it?
Places like this. People who have things to hide like to put magic shit that will explode when you open the door around it.
Oh, yes,
Just
of
got a
course.
feeling it's one of those.
Well, do you know how to disarm it?
Magic's not my strong suit.
Seconded. We could ask one of the others, but
Maybe. Just feel like there's something there. No one would go to all this trouble for nothing.
well, if that is the case, it will most certainly still be there once we find someone who can help with that.
Yeah, alright. I won't try anything.
Okay.
Maybe go look for Lyria? She knows
Okay.
magic shit.
Right. All right. So Pernell and Velis have been gone for a short while. What do Elias is sleeping off maybe a little too much moonshine? But what do Leah and Wuria do with?
I have no idea. I'm not sure what we're doing in this town.
I mean, I'm taking the dog out in case because he was being really demanding. So I mean, I think Waria would just probably go around being Waria and chatting with people and seeing how people are doing. Like, unless there was something specific that someone had suggested, I think that's probably what she would do because that's Waria.
Really, we literally just came back here to have like a base of operations and also get more information about where to go in the mountains. So we've just been kind of
resupply.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
resupplying.
I feel like if anybody asked Leah for help doing anything or whatever, like she would do that, but she doesn't have any objectives here to accomplish. So
okay. So at some point, then everyone kind of comes back together. So
I'm assuming I was able to convert that stuff into dust.
With enough time, yes. I mean, it's kind of one of those finding a shop or finding a home or somewhere where you could do that. It would have been a little bit more challenging if you had like only barely exactly enough rubies. But since I had explicitly I could be wrong, but I might be misremembering. But I'm pretty sure that there was a large stash that you guys just dipped into to take stuff from. So you had enough extra ruby to account for what you may not have been able to successfully dust. But yes. Okay. It's not too particularly dramatically interesting to make it much more of a challenge other than just to say, yeah, you were able to find it.
Cool.
And considering nobody has been doing anything with gems and jewels because they're just trying to survive, there's plenty available.
All right. So now I actually have the components for Force Cage, which is why I've not used it more than one time.
I figured it was some spell components. But...
Oh yeah.
Is that stuff? Does it get consumed when you
No,
cast
it doesn't
a spell?
get consumed. It doesn't say consumed, but it is
okay.
1,500 gold worth of ruby dust.
Gotcha.
So.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna use that anymore until I can get that.
Make a little vial bottle necklace or something. That's
so
a lot
sparkly.
of ruby dust, though.
Oh yeah. Be the worst glitter spill ever.
Oh jeez.
Here we go. We will melt down your sword and then remeld it with all that ruby dust in the sword, and it'll be like the ruby slippers.
Can the sword
but
just
it's
eat
a
the ruby
sword.
dust like it ate the rod?
Yeah, the sword could be. Yeah, basically, what you do is just get a vial of it, and I just stick it in the hilt.
There you go.
There's only so many slots in your magic weapon to put up.
You mean it's
no?
not
He needs to
materia?
remake a sword as the Buster's sword with all the materia slots.
Yeah.
Aiden's magic weapon just keeps growing slots.
Hey,
Yes.
I know
It's a
one way you can
malleable
get some
form.
more things.
I know.
If you want some more slots, you just need to, increase your weapon.
Yeah. Someone's not giving that back.
Just saying.
Eventually.
Are we going full, what was it?
I didn't
Full
want it
guilty
right
gear
now,
on this
but
shit?
I will want it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, reconvening.
Reconvening. So, Aiden's got some new spell components. Pernell and Velis found a seemingly locked and warded building.
I can help with that.
Small enough that it's not like a massive house, but bigger than like a single room hut. So it possibly someone's home, but everything is stone.
Just relate that.
Wood.
Yes.
I can help with that.
And then
I mean,
the woman from the council.
Well, let's take a look then.
Yep.
I can at least take a look and see what magic it is. But yeah, Aiden's probably better at making it go away if you need it to.
Right.
I think going away is the best bet in this case.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I kind of have to identify it to some degree in order to know what to target.
I wonder if Indil or anyone noticed what was there.
I mean, wouldn't just a simple detection spell that
Yeah, I mean, I can detect magic or identify. That's
both
easy.
Mary or I
Yeah.
can detect it at the very least.
I forgot I had detect magic now.
Phyllis could have done it.
All right. So as you all return, and like that morning headache finally goes away, 'cause maybe you finally ate something, Velis, you're like, oh right, hold on, and you can cast detect magic. So there is a powerful abjuration spell on the door.
I even had it prepared.
Uh,
Just an idiot.
basically, yeah, it goes boom if you try and break in.
Yeah, I would probably
I-
say
I-
it exactly like that. It goes boom if you try to break in.
Oh, we don't want that to happen.
Mhm.
Dispel.
Oh, so sad, so terrible.
What level?
It's automatically cast at 5th.
Or I was gonna say it's being cast at level 5, right?
Yep.
Okay. That is enough to just dispel it outright. And you can see when you do cast the spell, all sorts of elven runes sort of briefly flash into place before kind of drifting away mote by mote, kind of almost as if it's like burning off of the door and the door frame.
Could I have read any
Just
of
do
those?
the little.
They were elven style, but they were like magic runes.
Oh, okay.
So they weren't
Play
necessarily
issue.
explicitly,
Mm-hmm.
They weren't words,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like if someone were to do a magic rune who is a dwarf, it would probably be different style than someone who is an elf kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But protection, abjuration, evocation, it would have been a very, very large explosion that was explicitly not fire.
Oh,
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Just would have been all sorts of thunder damage.
It would have been us finding like the body of those and Purnell just like
just their boots.
Full like fizzing.
just their boots. Yeah, it's just like
I feel like Purnell
multiple
would have been
lightning
smart enough to walk up to it.
Oh yeah, no, she wouldn't have gone if she knew there was stuff on it. Probably stayed back. You have at least evasion, right?
Do I?
Are you high enough rogue yet?
That's what I don't know. I'm
That's a
actually
question.
checking.
It's 7 for rogue, so
Yeah, you
yeah, I
should
have
be
it.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay. With the magic on the door dispelled,
I want to go in very carefully, still looking for any kind of non-magical traps or other weirdness.
Okay, go ahead and make an investigation.
Seems kind of weird, but okay.
22.
Okay. So the door actually opens outwards towards you. So you open it up and you peer inside, and it is a nicely appointed, looks to be sort of like a foyer of sorts. It is definitely a home. And based on the looks of everything, someone wealthy used to live here. There are large tapestries covering a number of the walls in this entry room that depict a variety of different forest scenes. Some of them definitively wild and untamed, and kind of reminiscent of some of the Feywild and stuff that you've seen and observed. But those are, they're good 6 to 8 feet wide, 4 to 5 feet tall. The roof is low in this. A lot of these places have very, very tall, sort of stooping, stretched architecture that just makes you feel very, very, very small. The architecture here is much more dwarven in stature. Everything inside seems to be made additionally of worked stone. There are thick plush carpets on the stone floors. The furniture is functional and not particularly ostentatious. This is from what you've seen, having just like scavenged through multiple homes, spending an hour or two doing it. This is the domicile of someone who doesn't look like they're actually from this place. At least that's what you would surmise looking through all of the items. This front room seems to be relatively empty, aside from those tapestries, a table that's got there's like a wooden dish or a bowl, and you can see there's a couple of coins in it, kind of like a dish by your front door that you toss things into when you come in. The height of the table is lower, very much matching the stature of the rest of the place. There is one single door on the opposite side of the room, and as you're investigating it and poking at it, while you're not necessarily sure that it's trapped magically, it's definitely locked and trapped physically. You're able to find the mechanism relatively well, or relatively easily, considering you're on the lookout for it.
I would tell everyone to just stay back while I look at this and just maybe let me go first through here. And I'm gonna see if I can unlock it.
All right, that'd be a thieves' tools check.
I haven't done this in a long time.
Murray appears around and says, "I actually feel more normal sized here."
Let's see now if I can remember what I add to it. I think it's the same as my stealth.
Proficiency plus dex.
Yeah, so it's the same as, and I have expert. Did I take expertise in thieves' tools?
I don't know. Did you
I
take
don't
it?
remember.
Is it wrapped in the? On your character sheet? Is it wrapped in another circle?
Thieves' tools doesn't have.
Yeah,
oh right,
because
that's
it's
true.
not a. It's
I mean,
not
do
a
you have?
regular
I guess.
I think it's on my
5
character
versus
sheet.
4, or how many expertise things do you have on your sheet currently? Because if there's one missing,
I have 4.
Okay, then
So-
no, because I think you should have 4 expertise by now, right?
Are you disarming the trap or unlocking it first?
Disarming the trap.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying.
Well, make a roll because it's gonna be.
Well, I did make a roll. I'm just trying to figure out what I add to it.
Okay. Well, that roll may determine whether or not it matters.
Okay, well, the roll was a 2. So
Okay,
it
it will
depends, on
matter.
it depends on if it's a plus 15 or not.
Yes, no, that's important.
Yeah.
Because it's either a plus
So-
10 or a plus 15, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, if you have
12 or
4,
17.
if you have 4
Expertise.
things you can see, then you don't have expertise.
Expertise in stealth and investigation, and then expertise.
what I-
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. So it would be plus 10 then. So dex and proficiency. Yeah. So it's 12.
Okay.
Sorry,
So-
I haven't done that in a really long time.
Velis really hasn't done that in a really long time because as you're like, okay, no, I got this. You know, I'm a little rusty. But you hear a series of clicking sounds.
Yep.
And then there's this gas that begins to fill the kind of like exude from underneath the door and kind of billow into the room.
Is it supposed to
And
do
the
that?
front door shuts
Oh.
and slams closed. And the room is now slowly beginning to fill with.
Someone break a
gas.
window.
Yeah, quickly
Um,
move to.
Are there
Wait.
windows?
There are no windows.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh.
Can Wiria Misty step out of here?
Can you see Can you see through the stone?
Oh no, I guess not.
Yeah. No. This
Oh.
room is completely enclosed.
I have nothing.
This.
It does say you can see. I didn't have it up.
Pull out handkerchief, cover mouth.
Try to hit the door.
Yep.
I don't have any useful spells for this because I'm not good at magic.
Leah and Hagen would be good at that, maybe. Aiden probably a little bit. At least for opening doors.
I could use brute force.
Brute force would be welcome right now.
Yes.
On
The
which door?
gas has now gotten up to everyone's knees, which would put it probably close to Worry's waist.
Once you can dispel the gas.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a physical trap. I don't
That's
think
true.
so.
it's a physical trap.
Mm.
Which door am I breaking? The outside door
door.
or the door we're trying to get open?
The front door. I want to
door.
vent this.
Mhm.
Isn't this stone?
It is stone, and you can see on this side, you can see that it's heavily reinforced with there's like the hinges and stuff that are on this side, or actually since it opened out. Either way, it looks reinforced. Like,
About the wall.
The walls were probably a couple inches thick. It would take some significant force to break.
Does it look like there would be a physical way to just unlock that front door from whatever mechanism closed it?
Possibly.
I'll try it.
First things first,
it-
put blades away, pick up Wiria, put her on Leah's shoulders.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Leah
Leah.
can pick you up to keep you off. Yeah, because it's now
Unless you want me to do
slowly,
that, because I have a strength of 18. And
it's now slowly getting up
I'm gonna
to
try to unlock it, and then
most everyone's
failing
waist.
that, get out of the way so Aiden can try to bust the door down.
Yeah, it does not look like it's gonna there is no keyhole or mechanism or anything to manipulate. Judging by the sound of it sort of slamming shut and sort of lock and like slamming into place, there was also sort of like a heavy metallic ka-thunk sound that followed it.
Mm.
Well, I can aid with athletics.
I mean, you can certainly try to bust through the heavily reinforced stone door.
I don't to try.
how heavily reinforced does the other door look?
It looks like it's just a heavy wooden door.
I'll go for that one.
I was looking for
Wiria will
Wait, let it
so
match.
she can dismiss Brightwing and make him reappear within 30 feet of her. It does not say a space she can see.
Right. I would assume that Brightwing's probably hanging out outside.
So she is going to ask Brightwing to go for help to see if someone can unlock the door from the outside.
I'm swinging at the inside door.
Okay. With
My sword.
okay. Swords are great at cutting people, less so at doors.
What happens if I put a smite on it?
Well, now you're talking about using magic, and that's completely different.
Door smiting.
Force damage, go.
Smite.
Smite that door.
All right.
Ooh, that's a natural 17. So, I gotta get all the dice for that. Jeez.
Okay.
I need D8s, right? Yeah. It is rich, my door. Yeah, 68. I don't care. I'm just grabbing all the D8s I see. These.
This is fine.
These. Okay. 7, 12 slasher. 15, 27 force damage.
Okay. So you
So
pull
it's
out your
39
sword.
altogether.
The sword itself doesn't really do a whole lot against the heavy wood door, but the force of the spell that accompanies the blow basically just blasts the door right off of its hinges, and you can see it slammed back probably for about maybe 10 feet before just crashing into another stone wall and just splintering, like not into kindling, but like cracking and breaking. It was a really sturdy, solid door, but that was also a massive spell that you just threw at it. Almost immediately, the level of the gas in the room, and it was a sort of just like a pale white, acrid smelling gas, immediately drops as there's this new space.
Immediately looking around for whatever mechanism might be expelling the gas.
It looks like there is in the floor underneath where the door was a couple of holes where there's you can see gas kind of like puffing out of it. But on the other side of the door, it probably goes about 10 feet, and it's a small, maybe like a sort of a zigzag hallway, but it almost immediately starts dropping at a very, very steep incline. And so a significant amount of the gas is now flowing out and then down where those stairs were.
Do we find a bunker? Did we find someone's secret bunker? Oh god. Oh.
Does it look like it's...
So I don't know if you want to take a closer look at this, see if you can disengage it.
Oh, look. Does it look possible?
You could probably, if you could stuff something in those holes, it would keep the gas from coming out.
I mean... I am looking at my inventory.
I would presume that you have enough random material
I'll just take like
within a bag of
shitty
holding
cloak, yeah,
that you could
stuff it
just
in there.
stuff.
So I just remembered I have an item.
Huh?
You have an item?
I have a chime of opening.
Oh god.
We are all forgetting how to play D&D tonight.
Apparently.
D&D fail.
To be fair, that
that's
only
not
works so
nearly
many
as
times,
exciting.
so
That's not
it's
nearly
fine.
as
You open the door.
Yeah.
You open the door.
Yeah, so you're like holding your breath and kind of getting down on your hands and knees and like jamming something into these holes, and eventually the gas begins to thin out a little bit and settle as it's no longer being supplied further in.
Since Wiria sent Brightwing to get help, she will reduce the urgency of the need, but they still do need someone to unlock the door from the outside.
Right.
I feel like Aiden basically just kind of like, and then just basically take out the chime and point it at the outside door and hit it.
Yeah,
Wiria will
you
blink
ring
a
it
few
and
times.
you hear the sound of like thunk, thunk, and then the door,
We're okay. You can come back.
Sorry.
Good, I didn't want to miss you guys getting murdered. That would have been sad.
Is it murder? person who set the trap doesn't know it goes off.
I was honestly hoping for our adventure to continue, perhaps tomorrow.
Sorry, you know Brightwing and his fondness for the word murder. Anyway.
What the fuck kind of place is this?
That is a very good question.
An interesting one at the least.
Some place that somebody has some stuff they don't want people getting to, so
Clearly.
Well, this does
Let's
not
press
seem
on.
elvish.
So
No.
past that door, it's just slopes.
So there's
stairs.
so
Stairs.
basically here, I can diagram it.
Stairs.
I don't have like a map for this, but I can draw it so that everyone can visualize it.
Mm.
All right.
I should have switched a spell today, and I didn't.
All right.
It's fine, everything's fine.
There was a
I-
moment where everyone could before. All right.
It's
So
true.
I picked up that chime from the garden stuff. That was my rare item that I picked.
Yeah, right.
Just and I because oh, that's an Aiden thing, and then okay,
You forgot about it.
yep.
Mhm.
How
many times can you use that?
Given the fact that we have come across both a magical and a non-magical trap, where is this going to go ahead and throw up detect magic for the next 10 minutes and keep an eye out on things? Well, once we start heading down, if we start
I-
heading down.
Wouldn't technically
I would
Mela still have it
also-
up?
Yeah, I'm still concentrating on it.
for a couple more minutes, but we had a whole series
Yeah.
of things that happened
Yeah,
in there. So
I would say once mine drops,
Yeah.
that way we keep it as long as possible.
that's fair. Yeah.
Mhm.
all right. So basically, it's a very steep circular stairwell. So it actually kind of more goes around like that. And
Square spiral.
yeah, the spiral. Okay. So you can see the gas is like what had built up in the room fairly quickly has now all kind of like slipped and fallen down underneath the down the stairwell. And you can see it is unlike the very nicely appointed and sort of sitting room foyer of the main entryway where you're in. This is just stone. There are sconces with small gems that are what look to be probably like quartz, maybe, that are just glowing very, very faint. Every, say, feet or so.
Is there anything else on or around the stairs? If I look down, I'll just drop some dancing lights down the middle for better view.
It just, you can't see because it turns and descends so quickly, but go ahead and make an investigation roll as you search.
Ooh, yeah, that's better. That's 30.
Okay. The first step is a trigger. You're not entirely sure what it would do, but you should not step on it.
Jeez, this person is paranoid.
Oh.
the
Says us.
Skip the first step. It will probably explode or turn this into a ramp of death or something.
What about the second step?
Yeah.
You're fairly
the
certain the
first-
second step is fine.
Second step looks good, and I'm gonna step over the first step.
You gingerly step over that first step and slowly make your way carefully down the very steep. Now it's steep, but the
Anybody
steps
have, like,
themselves.
Chalk or something. Mark that so we don't. forget
Yeah,
anything else.
I'm sure I'd have something like that in my thieves'
No.
tools.
You can totally mark.
Doesn't anyone recognize
so-
this sort of?
Yeah, it's
Tinkering?
this is definitely not elven in style. I mean,
But
if
I would
anything,
be able to tell what I'm assuming it's more dwarven, but I would
Oh.
be able to tell with my
Oh, yeah.
archaeologist background.
Yeah, so this is decidedly dwarven in manner. It seemed like with the nice wooden furniture that was relatively perfunctory, it was a little bit less determinable. But this sort of multi-layer, like you've got magic, you've got mechanical, you've got like this very ornate series of defenses, one after the other, is very, very typical for dwarven tombs and vaults and places where dwarves don't want you to get to. They tend to be very elaborate in their defenses. And as you slowly make your way down spiral staircase, you can see it probably goes down maybe 10 and 20 feet. Worked stone the whole way. It eventually ends, and you can see it kind of comes to the bottom floor with a door immediately on the left, but the wall directly in front of you, opposite the stairs, is just a series of steel spikes, probably about a foot long.
I'm guessing that trigger would have turned the whole thing into a slide.
Yep.
Seems less
I
like
think so.
a boat and more like a torture chamber.
I mean, they clearly want to protect something, whatever that something is. I don't know.
Just gonna
Like
move
dwarves,
the lights
like
around the door to take a better look at this door.
I mean, could also be gems or something else of interest.
with any luck.
I'm gonna check this door as well. I don't know if my detect magic from the entrance would still be up, but it's 10
Wiria
minutes.
said she
Yeah,
casted
if
herself.
it's not, Wiria would cast it
yeah.
after you did. So,
Um,
which one of us would?
The very careful and slow searching as you go would mean that the detect magic that you cast at the entrance would not still be going. But if Wiria picked one up later, other than just the slight magic of the quartz, the cut quartz sconces in the walls here to provide a little bit of illumination, there doesn't seem to be any magic. This door down here is it is similar to the door at the top of the stairs, just in that it's thick, heavy wood. It has got a handle. Looks like it's got a keyhole.
Does it have a
And
trap?
You tell me.
I don't have my dice anymore, even though I rolled.
I believe.
Can I assist since I have expertise? Or...
It's fine. I got a 20. No, hold on.
Yes,
29.
it's trapped.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks as if there's a mechanism that if you try and open the door without properly, not just like inserting a key, but like if you insert the key and turn it the wrong way and then open the door, it looks like there's some kind of mechanism in the knob that might like stab you and probably poison you.
One way unlocks the door, the other unlocks your death. Take your pick.
Right. But having found it, it should be relatively easy for you to deal with once you unlock the door.
Yeah.
Although unlocking this door is particularly tricky because of those complicated.
Okay, I'll do it. And tell everyone else, stay out. Don't stand in front of it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a 25.
All right. This is not a normal tumbler kind of thing. There are layers to this lock. And it's almost as if it was designed explicitly to foil people who would come in and try and pick it. However, it was not designed to handle people of your skill and caliber. So as you unlock it and you kind of do, it's like, because you don't have the key, you kind of have to do this like weird, complicated grip to like get all of the right things held down with the right pressure. And then you turn it and you hear like a series of very satisfying, it's interesting. There's
It just does that.
it just ding! Exactly. It does that. Instead of a number of ominous clicks, you just hear the sort of
That was
tinkling of a
fantastic.
bell.
And
And
we
it
all
opens.
giggle.
Oh yeah, I could use my chime.
All right.
Probably shouldn't use all your chime here.
No, yeah, because you get 10 and you're done. That's
Yeah.
Oh, it is limited use.
Mhm.
Yep.
But it opens onto what looks to be a very comfortable study. There is a thick, very, very plush leather high-backed chair next to a low table. There are floor-to-ceiling bookshelves along one wall. This looks to be the domain of some kind of arcane wizard or practitioner. And judging by the size and shape of the chair, very likely they were a dwarf.
All right. Just for good measure, I'm going to make sure that the entrance to this room is not also trapped.
Wuria, you do notice a number of magical emanations of abjuration that are most decidedly trapped. So there's a it's kind of like a ladder that runs along the bookshelf, and that's got an enchantment on it. The chair has an enchantment on it. The footstool in front of the chair has an enchantment on it. There's a desk, sort of a very wide and deep. Looks like more like a workbench than a desk itself. And there's a toolbox on it that looks like it's got like a simple padlock, but that's got an enchantment on it.
Basically, don't touch anything.
Yeah. So Wuria says, well, so many things in this room are enchanted, and then points out each of them.
Yeah, so it's quite a bit.
Well,
Things being enchanted is not so strange, but all the traps
mean,
are.
Out of a level
the
to half
why did I get the
abjuration-
furniture?
Abjuration often is a trap.
Yeah,
Magical trap.
these are emanations specifically of like magical triggers
Yeah.
and things.
Yeah. When I say
The-
enchanted, that's what I mean.
The chair, in addition, the chair and the footstool themselves are also just magic, just by themselves.
I'm going to walk in and cast Detect
Sit
Magic
down,
as
Yeti.
well,
Okay.
so I know what she's looking at.
After what we
Okay.
saw before, Velis and I'm not entirely surprised if a wizard decided to enchant all of their things against looting.
All right. So
yeah,
Looks that way.
the chair and footstool are just also magic, but they're also trapped with magic because this particular dwarf wizard is quite concerned about that, apparently.
Yeah, I need to lay out of this.
yeah.
No, they were not wrong to be concerned, in a sense.
I mean,
Alright.
Both from us and from other looters, from what Velis and I saw before of other houses.
but I mean, the spell on the door stopped the other looters.
All right. So there's a workbench that's kind of
Until
a
now.
work area at the end of the room that takes up like most of the space. There's chair. There's also a fireplace, but it's like it doesn't have a flue. It's like just like the fireplace. It's also dark. Then the books are along this wall with that little ladder. I'm getting I'm getting like Discord messages, but I'm not seeing them.
It's
I'm
my
hearing the
Discord,
sound
and I don't
too.
know why it's picking up out of my
gotcha.
headset.
Oh, that is. Yeah, so
Sometimes
that's where
Discord
things are at.
settings are weird, and that it sets the like notifications to come out of like the speakers, but everything else is it's weird.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Well,
Windows
my
does it
speaker is
sometimes.
off.
I don't know that.
Yeah, it's just picking up like through her headset for
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
weird reason.
That's weird.
I don't know.
Oh, that's too hard. But yeah, the walls here are all stone, and this is the.
I mean, with as many things as are covered in magical traps, I would suspect that some of this is quite interesting if we can prevent them from going off.
How much of is it just the ladder on the bookshelf that's magical, or is there like?
So after examining everything without touching, the chair is magic. Plus, it's got a magic trap. The ladder has a magic trap on it. Rug underneath the chair is magical. And the desk looks like it's got a magic trap on it as well.
The rug is magical but not trapped,
Or
is it is
sort
a
of.
magic trap?
You can't really quite glean that much information from the detect magic spell, unfortunately.
Okay.
So there's nothing odd about the bookshelves themselves and the books.
Nothing of magical nature. Yes.
Okay. No,
Spellbooks don't actually glow if you cast detect magic.
Well, some of them do.
I'm gonna be me
Depends
and
on them.
be examining the bookshelves for signs of a hidden door.
Okay, go ahead
I'm
and make
going-
an investigation check.
I
Find the
want to
hidden
look
bugger.
at the desk without actually touching said
Mhm.
desk to
26.
see if it looks like there's any way to get around the magic trap or
Right.
disarm it in any way with a visual inspection.
Very likely, it's probably set to go off if anyone touches anything on the desk. It looks like it's a workbench for small, ornate detail, like basically scribing. It looks like lots of pots, inks, and pens and things like that. A number of sheafs of paper and such. But the magic that you'd see is basically like it's distinctively sort of not explosive rune, but maybe it's an explosive. It's hard. Aiden, you're sort of very quickly perusing shelves, and you can see there are most of the books that you can see are all distinctively of academic nature, of interest to someone who does magical research and whatnot. This in and of itself is probably an incredibly valuable find. But one of the things that you're observing is there's explicitly a pattern that you can kind of see in some of the books, and you find one section that's actually a facade, and it's not actually a set of real books. And you kind of pull it open a little bit, and there's a basically like a wooden handle in there.
Fellas, you want to check this real quick?
Yeah, that's interesting. I'll take a look.
Okay. It's definitely some kind of handle.
Well, I just rolled a 20 for investigation.
Okay. It looks like it is connected to some sort of latch mechanism. And given the nature of what you've seen before, not trapped, but probably opens a door.
Is anyone else considering that perhaps the owner of this abode is still here.
I guess we'll find that out.
And how much signs of activity or recent activity does there look like there's been?
None. There's no dust. And everything is sort of neatly put, other than there were like a couple of coins in that little wooden bowl dish. But other than that, everything just seemed to be exactly in its place. With no dust or dirt or anything that looked like anything was out of the ordinary. Based on the arrangement of everything, whoever owns and lives here is very, very neat and organized.
I mean, if they are still here,
seem like they've been here recently.
It's hard to tell.
At least not out
mean,
here.
if
But
they
pointing
are
to the
still
door.
here, if they are still here, as long as we can convince them we're friends, maybe they'll be helpful.
I
They
shall
don't
leave
know,
that to
maybe
you,
they don't know
Iria.
what's going on outside.
You start
You think
thinking
you can
about
pull
that.
that one off? I'm gonna leave the handle for now, and I actually want to look and see. I'm just curious if it looks like there's a purpose to that bowl of coins, if it's connected to anything.
You
Or
go
if
back
it's just-
upstairs?
That was back upstairs.
Oh, that was upstairs. Okay, never
Yeah.
mind. No. Shit. Everything is magic, and I can't disarm any magic traps.
I mean, it can, but that really depends on what we want to actually look at. And this thing, the bookshelf doesn't seem to be trapped in any fashion, so I'd say we could go for it.
Not a bad place to start.
And see everything there is to see and then consider from there.
I'll go over and pull the lever.
Okay. There's a probably sounds like just a series of wooden clunks as something shifts and moves, and the bookshelf basically just seamlessly opens. And it opens up into another chamber beyond.
Aiden looks very pleased with himself.
Right.
We peer into the chamber beyond.
Right. So you can see, much like the other areas here, there are small quartz gems ensconced in regular intervals around the walls, glowing with a very, very faint, pale, warm light. There is a inscribed circle on the ground, covered in runes, markings, sort of embedded as like both lines of silver and copper, other metals, along with what looked to be a number of censers and braziers about the room. It looks as if this is a teleportation circle. Hold on just a moment.
Well, I suspect whoever was here is possibly not here now.
Not at the moment.
Anything else of interest in that room?
So there looks to be a couple of small cabinets that look like they hold various ritual implements and supplies. Inks, powders, as well as a significant amount of things like incense.
Oh, hey,
A couple of other different types of powdered gemstones and such.
found it.
Am I
Knowing
able to tell at all how recently this circle has been activated, or the last time it was activated?
Make an Arcana check.
Yeah, baby.
also knowing about the teleportation circle and the fact that it is a spell that people can learn, Wuria would probably pull out some paper and start copying it down.
Yes, you could definitely copy that.
Yay!
13.
A spell she can actually just pick up
Okay.
whenever she wants if I drop a 5th level.
You're not sure.
Yeah.
This is definitely a permanent fixture. So very, very, very likely because of its makeup, it's not something that someone has to like ritually cast every time. It's probably activated, and whatnot.
Holding the detect magic from the other room, does it look like there's anything on those cabinets?
Nope.
If I go over to them, or is there any kind of a physical implement on it?
Just a little latch.
No traps.
Not that you can see.
Okay. I'm gonna pop it open and start looking through the shiny stuff.
Yeah. So there is basically the equivalent of about 2,000 gold worth of herbs and incense based spell components.
More plants.
Hey.
So this would be considered consumable resources for those spells that require incense and such.
Yeah.
Hey, wasn't Elias
That's-
looking
Yep.
for instance?
Yes.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
That's what we were looking around for, and we found this place.
What about the powders and things?
So a number of so there are a couple of jars. That one of them looks like it's filled with diamond dust. About 300 gold worth.
Given
And-
the teleportation circle, I'm not sure we should take everything that's not nailed down.
Agreed.
No, of course.
I'm just looking for now.
There's basically it is a stockpile of valuable spell component. All told, probably about 15,000 gold of various things. Are you going to take it? Any of it?
Not.
Some of it?
I would
Did
assume
Elias
the incense.
mention how much incense he needed?
I
I know we
Don't
talked
think
about
so.
it.
I
It's
would
legend
say
lore.
cleric.
It's for
More
legend
is
lore.
always better. Like
Yeah.
just general cleric things. Like incense is used for a lot of different spells. I feel like.
250 gold worth.
I'll take half of it
Okay.
and just pocket it
Okay.
and head back to the other room. So, do we want to look at any of this other stuff or not?
I mean, I'm curious.
I'm less inclined to, given that it's pretty likely somebody can just pop back in here whenever they want.
Yes.
It's
I
also
mean-
pretty likely that they're with the assholes over on the other side, so it would be kind of satisfying for them to come back to nothing.
That's a fair point.
Maybe not. I mean, they seem to be a dwarf, and the assholes on the other side don't seem to like dwarves.
No, well, there were the
That
ones.
is also a
remember,
fair point.
remember the one that escorted us?
There's also the fact that someone with this much magic could be disguising themselves as an elf, which makes them just as bad.
I mean, there were
Maybe.
dwarfs on the other side. There was the one that literally like got mad
Right,
every
but
time
they-
Pernell could speak Elvish.
He was
But wait-
more of a bureaucrat than a
Yeah,
orc mage.
that's true.
That doesn't mean that he's with the people who left Gward.
Yeah. That's true.
I
Hmm.
mean, it could be a number of things, I suppose. I am very curious who they are and why they were here
Out of
and how they
curiosity,
came to
is
be
there
here.
any
but-
way
Did any of
to
us go past
tell-
here before, like when
I
back
would
back
have.
in the original? Because like Velis was in here, and also like Elias and Pernell went to talk to Grandpa that one time, and I wasn't sure whether he was within the.
You're not sure what this would have looked like prior to all of the illusions coming down,
Hmm.
but there was definitely no stone hut.
Yeah.
So, question though. I think Leah's here. I don't even really.
Yeah,
know.
you're here.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yes.
We're all
I was
here.
like, I'm
You're all
You
assuming-
also have to like
Um,
both you and Hegan have to like
duck, I'm
really,
assuming, yeah.
really, really duck over because
Yeah.
the ceiling is like 6'6" and change.
Uh-huh. So Leah's on her knees. And
Someone
just
needs to
walking
get
on her knees
enlarged
down here.
reduced for the big.
Yeah, it was actually mildly difficult to make your way.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. I don't know that I really have any way of telling this, but is there any way to get an idea of how long it's been since someone's been down here?
We've tried.
We did?
Aiden
Well,
asked about earlier.
I
You
mean,
explicitly
like-
looked to see when the arcane circle had been
Oh, yeah,
used,
and
and
I
you
looked
weren't able to determine that.
I looked generally before
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's everything is super neat and super clean. Like no dust, no cobwebs.
Okay, so it is not out of the question then to assume that yes, they still have access to this place.
It's too neat and too clean though. For if
So
you
they're
look
not-
around,
They aren't regularly coming back, but it hasn't been like decades, basically.
well,
It's safe to
We
assume.
don't really have any way to infer how long it's been.
If it had
Right.
been decades, I would think it'd be covered in dust and stuff, wouldn't it?
I mean, if everything's
sealed.
magic, it could keep itself clean. Yeah. In places like this, you're not going to see much dust. And there's no way for dust to get in.
not only that, but oftentimes high-level practitioners have arcane means cleaning things, so that they don't need servants to come in and out of their homes.
Cue Sorcerer's Apprentice. Anyways.
Look, all I'm saying is, if this person is coming back, then good chances they're a dick who doesn't deserve this stuff. Maybe they're not an elf, but they lived here, and if they lived here, they were a part of this system.
But they did keep all of this.
I don't really
hidden, which
care
means
so long as it
maybe they
doesn't
didn't
get
like
tracked
us.
back to us.
I mean,
I forget. Were
You know
there
what?
any books
I am
that
going to
we were
go
able
grab
to
the
look at
diamond
or
dust because
anything?
that looks useful.
Oh, there's tons of books. A lot of them are very dry academic researchy type things on all manner of subjects.
I mean, Leah doesn't have the first clue to like what somebody that would be in cahoots with the Gordon stuck-up people would be researching, but like just if that might give somebody an idea, but Leah's not the one to.
It's very clear that these books are also varied in terms of their origin. There are a number that look like they have been bound and almost not exactly mass produced, but like printed. A number of books and tomes they look like they were handcrafted. There are some that are made from unusual materials.
So somebody just really likes gathering knowledge.
This is a massive
wizard.
trove arcane
yeah,
research.
I was like, well, this is a
information.
wizard.
It's that asshole Glassstaff.
The fucking glass staff.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the only reason that
I have no
Wiria,
idea who that is.
the main reason that Wiria doesn't buy into Velis's theory totally is she's probably heard tales of like weird wizards that live in cities and have basically nothing to do with the city.
Got their own little towers, except this isn't a tower. It's the closest
Closest
they have to a tower right now.
Tower.
It's an upside down tower.
Yeah.
Might
It's
not
the
be
tower
an
that they
asshole,
would
might
have if
just
they had
be
had enough spells
isolationist.
for it and could ward past level 5.
Might
Well,
just
I
be
mean,
isolationist.
it's a dwarf. Why would they want to build up when they could build down?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
I mean, we could always ask somebody if they knew who lived here, but that would kind of give away the fact we've been poking around.
I mean, they're
India
gonna know
certainly
if they
cannot
come-
yell at us.
If they come back, they're going to know someone was poking around because we.
Not if we
Set off
shut
traps.
the door. Nobody's touched it at this point.
You blasted the door
Looks
and
at Velis and-
destroyed
Yeah,
the
you
interior
destroyed the door.
The outside door.
Who has mending?
Really, I'm
Men
really
being nuts.
confident that any wizard who has the level of skill to have their own teleportation circle probably can tell we've been here.
While everyone's arguing about
Yeah,
that, I
but
want to go look at
I'm
the
not talking
little
about them. I'm
lockbox-
talking about other people in
thing.
town who know who lives here.
The what thing? Oh,
The
the
the lockbox thing. There was the locked.
it's a locked tool chest, basically.
Okay.
That may mostly be
I
on the
feel
Indil
like
at
there's
this
got to
point.
be something more interesting in here.
Yeah, it's probably trapped.
Yes. There's plenty of things of interest, certainly, but
No, everything is trapped. That's what makes it more fun. You don't trap something if it's boring.
Well, at this point, I have one spell left, so pick one.
Elias would likely probably have been retrieved by Brightwing and would probably be coming here at any point or soon. And I know that he's got a grip of spell
I don't
slot.
think I have.
Do we want to hold
spell.
until Maggie gets back, given that she's presumably back
I
soon?
think this actually would
it
be
is already 10:15, isn't it?
a great.
Oh, guess what? Leah
possible-
does have Dispel. I thought I only had Detect. Leah does have Dispel, so
I
Leah could
would
also
say
Dispel.
to tell Wiria to have Brightwing tell Elias not to step on the first stair.
Yeah, no,
That
Wiria
would
would
probably
make
be
sure
bad.
that all important details are conveyed to Elias.
Suddenly we just hear this shunk.
Oops.
Quick, somebody go grab Elias before he hits the wall!
run!
And then just say, "Oh, watch out for that first step."
Watch out for that! Not tree, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely relayed all the information. Maybe it was just not exactly at the right
Damn it, Brightwing!
If
Brightwing, no!
if Wiria was trying to convey very important information, she would talk through Brightwing.
Right.
Because she can do that, and it's her voice.
Oh yes, yeah. Elias totally has exactly the information, the directions, and the instructions as to what not to
Elias
touch.
disappearing down the slide with Brightwing at the top of the stairs, like,
Fuck.
All right. But we've got let's take a short break. One to just give a little bit more time. Well, what time is it?
It is
10:17
for us.
Okay. Which would mean that Elias would be showing up relatively soon.
Yeah,
Maggie.
Yeah.
Okay.
At any point at this
She
point.
said
I
she
think.
left work, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So let's take a quick 10-ish minute break to get drinks and food, and well, I haven't had dinner. You probably all had dinner.
Perfect.
But then we'll be back. So I've got X18, so we'll be back at X28-ish, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I get to rogue.
Okay, 10-minute break,
Fun.
everybody. We'll be back in a bit.
there's always a secret door.
This is at least worth. If something's going on in this city involving, I'd like to know about it.
Of course, I shall follow their lead.
Yeah.
But for now, I know thou wishest to have thy spell time.
Spell time?
She just she doesn't really know.
That's a phrase.
She's like, that's.
Is that what they're calling it now?
He wants to go alone into the bedroom.
Modern play work.
Put out some incense. What do you think?
It's gonna take me like 10 minutes.
Specifically, this one's called. That one's called. Fuck.
It's a weird name for an island. Fuck.
Fuck it! I said
really
it.
don't want to go there.
Now. It's Fuck Island.
It's either the best or the worst island in the archipelago.
So named.
Definitely not a mediocre experience, though.
So named because everybody who goes there says, "Fuck, this is a terrible place."
That's actually their slogan. Fuck, this is a terrible place.
Yeah, it's what their tourism bureau tells people. Yeah. So as you're going by Fuck Island, you hear some crows saying, "Yeah, the people on Fuck Island are fighting each other again."
I don't suppose the crows recognize any cult symbols?
Nah, no cults there. Just 3 different groups of people with very strong ideas about what to do.
Just a bunch of
Yeah.
fuckers, really.
Yeah, basically.
So these fuckers want to raise taxes.
Only some of the horrible things going on are cult things. The rest are just regular terrible people.
Just double checking.
That's fair.
Because I kind of want to know who our neighbors are, but that'll be on that goes on to the to-do list.
All right. Yeah. I will. Let me come up with some quick faction names for you while we're sailing.
The factions that we can get to fight each other harder.
Sure. They're already in a turf war. You can't start one amongst them.
Okay, so our goal is to stop the turf war. Got it.
We need to unite the fuckers against a common foe.
Common fuckery.
Friends, Romans, fuckers.
Under the banner of common fuckery.
Oh, I'm so glad we named it Fuck Island. Oh,
I thought I didn't have enough caffeine for this, but apparently I
do. I'm just gonna go ahead and start another Google Doc real quick for Fuck Island. Because I think we're gonna see more of it in the future. Alrighty. So yeah, you pass by Fuck Island. The fuckers are fighting the fuckers are fighting the shitters again.
Fuck you all. I might be crying. I'm laughing so hard.
Oh, you're gonna have to give me a second. Okay.
Fucking same.
If we conquer it and then eventually trade it away in a business deal, we could give somebody a fuck. Or if we refuse to do it, we would not give a fuck.
Fuck you!
Look at all the I have to give. Yeah. Okay.
If the shitters are involved, I don't want to take any shit.
I think I'm just dead, guys. I'm sorry.
Their main factions are now canonically the fuckers, the shitters, and the dammers. The fuckers really want to fuck shit up. The shitters just the shitters are big on the idea of public infrastructure, specifically for sewage, and the dammers are really, really big on building dams for some reason.
They're a big fan of beavers.
Yeah, big fan of beavers. They're beaver people. Yes.
So it's ultimately a conflict about public infrastructure planning.
It's ultimately a conflict about public infrastructure of 2 people who have very strong ideas on 2 groups of people who have very strong ideas about what the main form of public infrastructure should be and what their focus should be, versus one other group of people who just really, really want to fuck shit up.
I just thought the fuckers were just really into just making it a very island brothel.
Fuck.
This is starting to sound like a Dr. Seuss book.
Almost.
It's really all just really about the type of whorehouse they want.
Well, we'll work on it. I'll write something for Fuck Island. Do not fear.
You're
the
welcome.
main takeaway for now: Beaver people are now canon for Uelia. They will all speak in Newfie accents. All of them. All right. So yeah, Fuck Island. That is now.
Some people wait a lifetime for a moment like this.
And I'm gonna inflict wound.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna do inflict. Whoops. Come back.
Inflict whoops.
Whoops. Inflict whoops. As if I've made a terrible mistake.
Zafar shouts from his pedestal at the far end. Get a move on! I'm getting bored up here.
Is he talking to us or the slugs?
You guys.
I mean, why isn't he shouting at the slugs then? They're not doing anything.
And they're the ones that really are moving kind of slow right now.
Finish him off already.
So as a question, when you hit him with acid, does it have to be enough to actually do damage or just any kind of acid?
Are you just gonna like throw up on him? Stomach acid?
Actually, now that you see
Oh,
I wasn't thinking that, but yeah, that would work.
Is a ready supply of acid?
I will give you that does 1 acid damage if you throw up on the slug.
Well, unless anybody.
Then wait, let me get the flame blade ready. Flame blade on, motherfuckers.
Alright. You pop a flame blade in your hands. Bauer, how do you make yourself vomit on the slug?
Oh god.
On the list of things I never thought would happen in a D&D game, my players vomiting on an enemy to kill it. Roll to hit the slug with vomit.
Yeah, it's not the tracks didn't necessarily get smaller, Fike. They just changed shape and became bipedal instead of quadrupedal.
Bear stood up. The bear's walking on 2 legs now.
No, it's definitely not bear tracks anymore. It's definitely
it's not bear.
No, they're
Changing the shape of his foot.
They're definitely humanoid.
Father Fike was about to have a conniption with freaking Noxus. He's about to be like, "You fucking idiot! It's still a fucking bear."
That's how we couldn't find
It's a tricky bear. It found shoes. It put shoes on. This is where it sat and put on shoes. It had to struggle with the laces.
This is what happened to the last traveler. It fell for a trap.
It wore its last traveler's skin.
Oh God!
I don't know how big that would be, but I assume it's.
And that was when God carried the bear.
Yeah.
God, for the love of Cord, stop.
Oh my god.
All right, we know that there are 1,000,001 bear puns out there. Let's try.
And I can, you know what, guys, I'm barely holding myself together right now.
Let's turn Persona 4 very quickly.
Oh, God. This is just unbearable.
Yeah, that pun was unbearable.
All right, everybody get them out of their system.
Commit this grisly murder.
Alright, anyway.
We're good. All right, that's what we're gonna call it tonight.
What is this other book that you speak of? And she sort of closes the book in Dwarvish, and she kind of sits up a little bit and sits back, sort of in that centered watery area, and with a lot more dexterity than you would expect, actually slips the Dwarvish book into the bag of holding, and then flips open the butter churning milkmaid, flipping through it sort of page by page.
She was very accurate in how she described it.
She was. You're not wrong.
And you can see after a moment she just stops.
Velas is doing his absolute best to keep a completely straight face.
Yeah.
Weria is keeping a straight face.
Elias is trying so hard not to laugh.
Velas has high charisma. I think he's good, but it's never.
Or not, just not react.
Katana's just.
Right. There's nothing.
I'm just going.
She like. she turns like one page, and she's like reading through it. She kind of
good parts.
Well, she flipped through a bunch of it. She stops, and she turns her head to sort of like regard you and look at you, and then she looks back to the book.
Oh, we just gave the dragon a bodice buster.
And she looks back to you. I have lived for almost 1,000 years. I have seen the ending of the world and the birth of a new one, and in all that time, I have never experienced anything like this.
Something we both have in common.
She sort of like leans down, looks at all of you like a little bit closer, and like, do you little people create much of this?
Have you heard of the Great Worm Archive of our own?
It is perhaps more common than it should be. But
yep. Varying degrees of quality, but
as with all things.
It seemed.
Yep. There we go. Okay.
I just figured I'll jump in with Elias since we're still waiting on people.
Okay.
You wake up with a bit of a headache. You may have imbibed a little too much of Azra's medicine.
Wouldn't be the first time. Probably won't be the last.
And it is quiet. It seems everyone let you sleep in a little bit. There does appear to be a small place setting and like a tea with a teacup with, at this point, probably lukewarm tea in it, left behind by Wuria and Leah, most like.
The worst.
Right. But as you're kind of wondering what you might do for the day, sort of seemingly out of nowhere, Brightwing blinks into place. And you hear him about to say, Elias, before Wuria's takes over and comes in.
Oh, no.
And Wuria says,
Hi, so we went down into a kind of dwarven bunker in this side of Gordon. Thought there was going to be gas that might knock us out, but we're okay now. But you should come and join us and give directions. And then also, by the way, be really careful. We already disarmed the trap at the door, and then the next door was a gas trap that we've blocked off. But do not step on the first step down. Go over the first step down, okay? And then come down, and we're there.
Okay.
What? See you soon. And everyone else probably sees Wiria get thumbs up as she
Right.
talks through Brightwing.
Yeah. Brightwing attempts to thumbs. Yeah, they were almost all completely dead. It was.
Don't need to know these things. Do I know where this bug?
He can lead you there.
Gave direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, did you hang up giving me direction?
Yeah. So Brightwing leads you to
I'll
a
take
nondescript
room temperature
short
to me.
stone building that looks very out of place amongst all of the other structures. You know, granted, everything is kind of run down a little bit, but this is actually, the stone here looks like it's been well maintained and kept up rather than just plastered over with illusion. When you step inside this sort of brown area here, it's a nice open foyer, almost like a waiting room or a sitting room. There's large tapestries with various landscapes of a wide variety of places, including some particularly unique and wild, reminiscent of the Feywild. And there is an open door that currently has what look to be some rags that have been shoved into little holes in the door jamb. There is a set of stones, a steep stone steps, kind of trailing down in a circular stairwell with a large X marked in chalk on the first step. And you can see there is some black char marks on the walls from what looks to have been some sort of magical explosion of some kind. And as you make your way down the steps, you can see at the bottom of the stairwell, there is both the remnants of what looks to be a heavy wooden door, cracked, broken in half, and kind of collapsed and shoved into one corner. And directly at the foot of the steps, opposite the stairwell, is just a wall of thick steel spikes jutting out into, or basically an alcove filled with steel spikes. And you can hear your friends talking and conversing as you're making your way down the steps. And Wuria, you hear Brightwing mentally announce to you that he and Elias have arrived.
Avoid the traps. I even want to know what I missed.
Oh, I got you
Aside from
something.
death.
And I'll just hand over 1,000 gold worth of incense.
A lot of incense.
He's got like it's like a hay.
Yeah.
A barrel of incense.
It's like a bunch of they're all very carefully wrapped in like wax paper. There's some that are in like glass jars. It's a whole assortment of various types.
Oh.
I like how they're very clearly like wrapped and packaged, and then they were just like shoved haphazardly in a bag by Velis.
Yep.
Here's these, and he's like doing it multiple times, just stacking them on Elias.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You said you were looking for some.
Yeah. So this room down here is all stone. Worked stone, floor ceiling, large, heavy flagstones in the floor, very cleanly carved stone bricks in the walls. There is a thick, plush leather chair on a very, very thick piled rug next to a small side table, a large workbench that dominates one end of the room, and then a bookshelf that's split in half and opened like a set of double doors that leads onto another chamber beyond that looks like it's got a magic circle.
And I'm just gonna be pointing
teleportation
and going, trap,
summoning.
Trap. That's a trap.
Yeah.
That might be a trap. Not quite sure.
Right. There's also a trap on the workbench. There's a trap on the chair. The rug is magic, and there's a trap on the rolling ladder that goes along the bookshelf.
Just assume that if it exists in here, it is a trap.
I really want to know what the rug is, though.
Actually, a fair assumption. If it is a thing in this room, it is probably trapped.
Yeah.
Right. So why are
Other
we?
than apparently the books.
Oh, but the ladder's a trap because that makes sense.
Maybe there's really exciting books up top.
Leah could probably tell without the ladder. Is
Yeah.
there anything interesting on the top?
Are there really?
No,
Yeah, what's up
curious.
here?
Leah doesn't need a friggin' ladder.
We don't need no stinking ladders.
Yeah, we have Leah and
Where we're
Negan.
going, we don't need.
Because that brings up a very good point of like maybe it's not the ladder that they don't want people on; it's what the ladder leads to.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like at your height. So the highest book. So there's basically six shelves, and they're all about a foot tall ish. And the there doesn't seem to be anything unique about the bookshelves or the books that are up top. But one thing that you note is most dwarves, as you're like crouched down here, kind of looking at everything. You know, 4 foot something dwarf with reach would probably be able to reach something on the 6 foot shelf fairly easily.
So why do they need a ladder then?
Maybe they're just an asshole.
Or there's something where it just like looks up.
Something.
Yeah, illusion.
What type of magic did you say was on the ladder?
I mean, it's a trap. It's abjuration magic. Was there any other magical signature on the ladder?
Is abjuration?
I'm gonna start scanning the ceiling then.
I mean, it could be
an illusion of a seal.
evocation. Or
Although,
something.
given the layout, given the layout and the stairs, is this like basically directly under the top floor?
Close to, yes.
Leah's gonna
punch the
knock
ceiling
on the ceiling, and assuming there was like the ceiling didn't ping magic, she's just gonna like knock and see if anything
super solid stone
sounds any different in any place.
Go ahead and make perception check.
See if there's like a hollow open. Like if
try to
something's
aid.
not
Right.
I'll aid.
Yeah,
I'll aid.
Sure, you have advantage because Pernell is helping.
Hi, I'm helping.
I want to know what the rug is.
I mean, technically, we can identify.
Well,
some stuff.
what check was I making?
Perception.
Math. 15.
Okay. It's super sturdy stone.
Okay.
I mean, if
Leah will convey that and just be like, I mean, the ceiling all sounds like the ceiling, so I don't know that there's anything hidden up there.
If Velis actually conveys that he's interested in what the rug in with,
I'm saying that, yeah.
Yeah, with Brightwing here, where he would say, "Well, give me a few minutes," and have Brightwing go and then ritually cast identify on the rug through Brightwing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want,
just to be
I
safe.
can also try and take a look at the ceiling and see if I see anything. Like, see any? If I don't know.
The rug is a rug of smothering.
Oh.
Whoa.
So it, like what,
touch
wraps
the
you up
rug.
and
Don't
suffocates
touch
you?
the rug.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
It will attack you.
Let's leave the rug alone. Let's not get smothered by a rug.
That is a good point, though. Hegan is in the room too, and Hegan has true sight. So I feel like if there was anything up with the ceiling or anywhere,
Illusion. If there's anything covering that.
True sight. Okay.
Remember that thing that helped us not be
right.
eaten by
Not
mimic?
mimic.
Okay. Let me look up true
Yeah,
sight.
when he can just like mimic.
The chair probably is a mimic.
That'll eat you.
That was the thought I had.
That was my assumption. Is the chair just like swallows you if you sit in it?
Isn't this a bit much? I mean,
Yeah, why are we down here also?
I mean,
Is there a
the real
specific
question is
reason,
we've
or
not found
boredom?
anything.
if this belongs to a wizard, how the fuck
Initially,
does he
we were looking
do
for
anything here?
the incense, and
Well, and it seems interesting that we've yet to find anything that seems to warrant this
creatures
level
know
of protection.
Detect visual illusions.
Teleportation circle, we don't know where it
Okay.
goes. Like
that is true.
There are no
just be
illusions,
for that.
and there's nothing invisible, and there are no shape changers.
Okay.
It could be, it could simply be a protection for the
Not a mimic.
teleportation circle, because
that is true.
if it goes somewhere more exciting,
Yeah. Maybe he was just this is just a really paranoid wizard.
I mean, wizards sometimes are.
Aren't teleportation circles connected?
Usually.
Generally, yeah.
Where can you tell where this one goes? Or
I mean, I could maybe. No.
I don't know how these things work.
I think other than like stepping on it and see what happens.
Other than using it.
I don't really know.
A magic circle can be built to auto-teleport someone, but the amount of magic and power required for something of that effect is significant. Otherwise, it's just a rounded target that lets people who can cast the ritual spell to unerringly go from one destination to another, but they have to know the destination.
So this doesn't go anywhere per se. Is
unlikely.
So here's another thought.
Could
so we don't know what this looked like before, or we don't remember seeing it. Do we know where on the map of the town we are, though? Because we did see a map of the town earlier when it was infested with things.
This is in the forest side, and I've never had a map of that.
Okay, so this is off of the part that we had mapped.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That
helps.
Waria would send Brightwing onto the circle just to make sure he doesn't teleport somewhere.
Yeah, I was curious about that.
Yeah. It seems to be inert. There doesn't seem to be any active magical energies associated with it.
So this is a target, not a send.
That is good to know.
That's good, I guess.
The question is,
it can also aid in the casting of the teleport circle spell, because then you don't have to constantly put out all of the implement, shorten the doesn't technically shorten the casting, but you know what I mean.
It makes it easier, but it would also be a target for someone who was casting the spell.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, either that makes me less inclined to think it's to protect the circle, but who knows? I mean, if I were a dwarf living in a city of really racist elves, I might want to protect my home, period. But...
And again, there hath been looting of every other building here, so if they were leaving with the elves by chance, then knowing what would happen.
I think they just don't like people getting their stuff, and they have more effective means of preventing it than most people.
This is a lot more magic
true.
than I would assume cast right before departure. Like, if it was just before departure, I would assume setting the door trap.
Yes.
But the trap on the the traps on the stairs were mechanical. Those took time to
those
build.
looked like they'd been built into the house, like into the building.
Leads me to assume that whoever it is not necessarily friends with our elf friends, because
they're the only people who would easily have access.
Yes, I have to think that this was built to guard against them getting in.
Looking around, can we find anything that might have a name or any correspondence on it?
I think they're just a solo act.
There's no writing. I mean, the workbench has all manner of writing on it. Quills, inks. Looks like there's sort of divider bins with various types and shapes.
Did anyone ever open the
paper?
The tool chest or whatever?
No, there's a spell. There's an abjuration magic on that workbench.
There's a magical trap on the workbench.
I want to take a look at it.
Leah has dispel magic also, and she's not cast anything yet today. So Leah can dispel that one.
I can do it because I just get them back on a short rest.
Anyone
can do it.
I've just been throwing them out. So
okay. Well, I wasn't sure if we
Well,
were getting a short rest.
I
or
get him
not,
back
so-
on a short rest. That's the difference
Yeah.
between me
Okay.
and you guys.
I mean, yours is also
Right.
by default cast at a much higher level than I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll
Okay.
hit the workbench because that's the one that I figured was most likely to hit.
Okay. I need you to make a spellcraft.
Ooh, shit!
Yeah, we're gonna put this one.
Troll.
Oh. That's not higher than 5th level. So.
Oh.
You cast your dispel magic, and there's a series of runes, not dwarven in nature, just generic magical rune. The ones that you'd seen before on the door were elven. These are less elven and more just generic magic. But they sort of flare up a little bit in response, but it doesn't go off.
Well,
it's definitely
It didn't
stronger
trigger
than
it.
the one outside.
Elias, do you
That
have
means
detect
there's
magic? You're
definitely
the
something in there.
next-
I mean, I was gonna. Leah will then, seeing Aiden's fail to open it. Well, I mean, I guess I'll give it a
Did
go.
not expect to be dispelling magical traps today, so no, I do not
So
have dispel
Leah
magic
does have
prepared.
it prepared, so like.
Yeah, I mean, mostly where you asked Elias because he has
I'm
higher level
assuming
spell
I have to
slots
make
than
a
Leah.
spellcrafting check.
You got this.
Remind me how I do that as a paladin, because I've not done. Is that
Roll
just
d20, add your
Your spell.
casting.
Whatever your
is
spell
charisma?
modifier.
Yeah, your
Spell
charisma modifier.
Yes. Modifier is that. Okay, I see now. It's like I've never had
Whatever
to do this
you
as
usually,
Leah.
whatever you usually use for spell casting.
Yeah. All right. You know what? We're gonna roll the good one. Big money, no.
Technically, where you can prepare detect magic, can learn detect magic, but everyone
Okay,
else has
that's
it.
a nat one. It was almost good.
Oh
Leah really can't get it.
Well,
I mean, if you
Just
want to
look
come
at them
back
and say,
tomorrow, I could give it a crack.
sorry,
but-
guys.
I mean, we could also wait an hour and let Aiden try again,
Yes. If there's anything else we wish to try in the meanwhile.
I mean, I don't think I can do anything without setting it off.
Yeah, I mean, we
you
kind
can
of
take a short rest, and Aiden can try it again.
Try it again.
Why did it not reset my spell slots when I hit the long rest button earlier?
I don't know.
The long rest button.
I mean, you
I
can try it
did.
again if you have more than one spell slot, which I think you should.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna hit the long rest a bit again though, because like it
I don't
also
know.
didn't reset my hit points.
Oh,
interesting.
maybe you didn't
So
actually.
I'm just like, I'll
maybe
still
you
check
didn't-
off the spell, but I'm just like,
Right.
and I hit the confirm. Okay, now it looks good. So
Are you
let me
gonna
check
try
off
again?
the one that I've used. But yeah, I can. Leah can actually try again. So
Okay.
we're gonna not use that die. We're gonna going through all my Leah dies here. Where's the. All right, so let's see. Don't fail me, please.
Ability check using spellcrafting.
Oh, 21.
Hey!
Ooh. Kristen, that was the die you gave me.
The wild mother abides.
So with that, you sort of, are disconcerted that this arcane magic is resistant to the influence of the wild mother, and with a more fervent application of will, you're able to dispel the magic trap that's on the workbench.
I want to go look.
Does it work?
Okay.
Takes
Yeah.
just a big
So
sigh
there's
of relief, kind of like.
there's all
Well
sorts
done,
of
Moira.
like if you need to ever write anything or create scrolls or whatever, this is an entire place that is absolutely perfect for this sort of thing. Or, calligraphy.
Are we just getting a keep?
Are
Is
there-
this our house in storehouse?
What's the word? It's where you make fake documents, forgery.
That's actually very useful for me because
Don't let Westcott know this place.
Just claim
Yeah, so
it.
this
I'm sure if any
this
of us were wizards, we'd be looting this place to hell.
Right. No, if we were wizards, we'd be like going
this
crazy.
workstation would grant advantage on anything having to do with writing or drawing or crafting.
If we were
a
wizards,
scroll.
we would use that hate scroll a long time ago.
Right now, she would be losing her mind over this.
Esri would be losing her fucking mind right now.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Ezreal would
I
be,
will
like,
probably
passed
need
out
that
on the
later, so
floor.
we need to remember that this exists. Because
So the mechanism on the lock, there's no keyhole. It actually looks like it's got some sort of clockwork, basically sort of like number tumblers on it, but not numbers. It's like runes that kind of rotate.
Fascinating.
Can I
Maria's
try
like,
it?
I've never seen anything like this.
No.
You're not entirely sure that you'd be able to use thieves' tools to just because like there's no tumblers to set. But
it's like a combination.
It's like a puzzle lock. It's like a combination puzzle lock. Yes.
Oh fuck! It's our happy fun ball.
I'm on it.
Okay.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
Aiden, you want to take a
Aiden's
look
got
at this?
This seems like you.
I mean, you can. I think a chime of opening probably. You could also just look at it and try and figure it out.
You could probably figure it out. You could probably figure it
I mean,
out.
I will certainly try to figure it out first.
Okay. Go ahead and make an Arcana check.
Also, I will be listening, but I have to take food out of it.
Need some bardic inspiration up in here.
Yeah, so this is a challenge.
I mean,
almost fun. In that it's like you're trying to solve like an arcane Rubik's Cube sort of locking puzzle thing, and it's also a little frustrating. But so far you haven't been able to get it. At least not at first. It takes you a little bit of time. But eventually you do manage to get the right combination of runes and shapes in the right place to unlock. And then when it does, it sort of collapses in on itself into just like a small cube, and then kind of like falls down on top of the workbench. But it's basically a little tool chest. There's no magic on it. It's heavy though. Like as you're sort of manipulating it and whatnot, it looks fairly small, but it's very heavy. Someone want to open it?
Try to open it?
I was gonna.
I mean,
something that can be opened.
Yeah.
Okay. When you open it, you can see one of the reasons why it's so heavy is that it's lined with lead.
Ooh.
And inside you can see numerous rolled up pieces of paper, folded pieces of paper. You can see what looks to be like a brass seal and a bunch of things of wax.
We're going to assume these are completed scrolls.
Not scrolls, but correspondence.
Oh.
And when you look at the seal, it's the insignia of the Cerberus Assembly.
Ooh.
Oh.
Specifically,
snap.
the sigil of one of the archmages of the Cerberus.
Oh shit.
Why does it feel like we're just like it feels like we're in above our pay grade?
Is there any I can look at without breaking the seal?
Because we are.
Oh boy.
So none of these are sealed. They're all just like closed, like folded and rolled and whatnot. The brass seal sort of, it's like a stamp that you stamp things with. It's got the heraldry of the Cerberus Assembly, but it's got the equivalent of like rank pips or something that denotes that the bearer of this particular thing is a part of one of the leading mages. It doesn't necessarily identify which though. But you start looking it through the papers, and you can't read them. The letters and the words shift and move as you try and read them.
Cipher?
Not a cipher.
Kind of magic.
Oh, it's
This
just
is magic.
magic.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's
Well-
specifically making it difficult to. It's
That
like it's
answers a lot of questions and gives
Think
me
like-
a hell of a lot more.
it's like one of those graphics that you look at where it's like it's just like a pattern, but if you look at it, it like moves and twists and shapes.
How many?
It's like
how many letters are there?
That are like this. There's a small about 3 specifically rolled up ones that are like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some other folded up pieces of paper that are just notes that are written in a very messy script that are written in Gnomish.
It was gnome.
I can read that.
You can read it. Yep.
Yeah, I could read that too. If
And
you
it's
couldn't, but-
and it's basically it looks like it's notes and diagrams, sort of outlining the relationships and connections among the various people on the Council of Guardian.
Oh my!
What?
Notes and observations, various, but it's very messy. Unlike everything else around that you've seen, this is it's hectic. It's scrawled. It's very, very messy.
I'm gonna put the rolled up ones away in my bag.
Okay.
And then take the rest of the notes.
Okay.
What exactly is it?
Yeah.
But there's like,
Hmm?
yeah.
The Empire had someone observing Gordon.
For what purpose?
Well,
I
that's
don't know.
certainly
I can't read the
interesting.
important stuff, but there's a lot of information on the council that they were making note of. So may want to bring this to Ilden's attention.
Yeah, I was saying maybe we should.
That
mention it to Indel,
seems
see
like
if
a
he has
good
any ideas.
choice.
I'm just gonna look at Aiden and go, that's assembly shit. Right?
Assembly?
Assembly?
So
Basically what my brother was being groomed to be a part of.
Cerberus
Lovely.
Assembly are the archmages that basically run the Empire.
About this empire. Refresh my memory too. Does Leah even know what the empire is?
You know that there is a political faction known as the Dwendalian Empire.
Yeah, but I don't know much anything actually about it. I just know it exists, right?
You know it exists and that they're kind of strict. And it's
Wait,
on the other side of the mountain.
Yeah, there was.
saw assembly not far from here.
Yeah, they were at the ruins.
There was a
Oh,
number.
that group.
There were a number of people who were
at
that.
Was there?
All right, I'm a lot less comfortable.
Was there a
with this place
gnome
now.
among those that we noticed? I
Not
remember there
particularly.
was. Yeah, there was. I know there was some kind of head honcho, but I don't remember them.
There
being
was
at
a
the
drow.
top of-
Drow.
There was a drow, and an
Drow
older
wasn't
human.
part of the assembly.
Yeah, they were all human. I think there may have been
mean-
like an elf in it, but not specifically.
All right, I'm
But
starting
they were
to
like
think that
mercenary types.
I mean, on the other hand, gnomish might not be something that's commonly known around here. I would use that assumption. You
But
know.
with everything
given
here,
the structure of the bunker here,
Precisely.
and that would
we need to
also
talk about
explain
this,
the ladder.
but not here.
Yeah.
The sooner we get out of
Yeah,
here,
I
the
think
better.
we
Now,
will.
I don't like this anymore.
Yeah.
All right.
let's get
I'm
out of
starting
here.
to feel like we
Go
may
out.
be out of our depth.
I think perhaps Indil can tell us who.
Can I
Before
take
we go
that?
to
Can I
Indil,
take that puzzle box with me?
Oh yeah, it's right there on the thing.
before
I just
we
want
talk
this.
to
This is
Indil,
cool.
I think we need to talk.
Hmm.
I think we need to get our shit together before we bring anyone else in on it.
That's fair.
Agreed.
Regarding what?
I don't like. Just let's get out of here. We'll talk
There's a lot of
not
things
down
you
here.
don't like.
In this case, I have reason.
Okay.
Well,
back somewhere where we can create a hut to speak in, I
don't
suppose.
know a lot about the assembly.
Let's go
but
back
they
to
look-
the tree.
They sound like bad
Back to
news.
the tree, create a hut, and then we can talk.
Yeah.
Also, hi, Kia.
Okay. So, carefully avoiding the magical rug of smothering, the step, the mechanically trapped step. By the time you get back up top, it looks as if the gas has stopped emanating from those holes, and most of the acrid smell has cleared away. And you leave. Do you close the door behind you, or
Yes.
have to lock it or anything? Okay.
Yes.
So there doesn't seem to be any way to like physically lock it from the outside, but you can lock it, or you can close it. I mean.
Good enough.
Okay. And you go back to the tree home with the oversized bed. At this point, it's probably close to lunch, so there's probably going to be a large communal meal for a group, a lot of people happening.
So I'm not against taking this to India. I just think that maybe everyone should have some idea what we're looking at.
I mean, I'm not sure we'll know until I can get a chance to sort through the more important letters.
Right, but you and I are the only ones who've even heard of a Cerberus assembly before today. They're just the kind of people you don't usually fuck with. I've done some work for them years ago.
Really?
People in my skill set are useful to people like that. At least until they figure out what you look like under a disguise.
Aside from apparently the one that was at
Yeah,
those
so
ruins.
The ones we saw before working with a drow individual.
And that is another reason that I want to know what the fuck is going on with all of this.
Those people were certainly not particularly pleasant.
Oh no, that was the prick, was it?
I think prick was indeed the word used.
That's a
yes.
good word. The assembly will do anything for their own power and magical study. I'd like to know what the fuck their interest was in a place like this, but
they'd be interested in Gordon.
What information could you get, Aiden?
It seemed like
unless they weren't interested in Guardian, but maybe they
interested
were
in
interested in what was
council.
near here.
Perhaps.
That's
Maybe.
possible.
From what I've been able to actually
Yeah.
read, they just had a lot of observations about the members of the council and how they interact with each other. So,
So
it
then,
Why the hell would
definitely,
people-
at least from what I'm getting, I'm assuming they were trying to go for some kind of political angle.
Which they certainly could if
the
they
hell would it
learned about the
manipulate
game
them?
that was being played.
But what would an archmage want with Guardian's political games?
Well,
hard to say. Then raise the question.
what
do
sort
we
of
think-
games does the Empire play?
I
What
mean,
also do we
Whatever
think
serves their
they're
ends.
Do we think they're still here, or do we think they went with the other elves?
That's the real question. I mean,
Mm.
obviously,
Or they ran
not
back to the
hidden
Empire.
here.
That was
Yeah.
easy enough. They would not need to. Well, I guess if they were observing the council, to go with the council would be.
Unless their interest was at least as much location specific as people specific.
Yes.
Well, then why aren't they still here then?
They could be, for all we know. It's not like they couldn't be disguising themselves. They're an art, if they're a powerful wizard.
I think that you're right. Indeel does need to know. I just wanted everyone to have some idea what kind of hornet's nest we're poking before we do it. And that wasn't a conversation I wanted to have down there.
Fair.
Knowing what we know about like the council, like
poke the hornet's nest yet.
yeah, knowing what we know about the council, Brendan, is there any kind of like insight we could have into like why a group like this might be like looking at the connections between things, or like is there a way to tell like if we're on kind of a we got a good idea, or whether like there's something we're completely missing? Knowing what we know after the fact about what actually happened and what they were doing.
Right. So it does sort of fill in a few gaps, and it sort of identifies who's. It's kind of like a roster of who might be able to be compromised, who's got allegiance to whom, who is likely to be associated. So there's additional notes on basically who might be affiliated with the resistance. Or it doesn't explicitly have a name associated, but basically they had kind of pegged everyone fairly well from everything that you have learned. Indeel was they actually had the least amount of information about him. In fact, he was an unknown and had thwarted most of their attempts to get to know people that he was familiar with or that he knew, and so they didn't know what his motivations were. And so they had marked him as probably the most threatening of all of the members of the council because they knew the least amount about him.
Seemed the type to play things close to the chest the best.
Yeah. I was like, he didn't seem to like the rest of the council much, so.
The rest of them are, from what you can gather, fairly straightforward in terms of just trying to grab and hold on to power. There
Out
did
of
seem
curiosity,
to be...
was there any kind of specific notation regarding whatever her name is? Sumnus. That one.
Yeah, likely that her relationship was going to be something that could be leveraged. That was causing her issues.
That killed Sibyl?
No.
No, it was. Everyone is fairly certain that it was
died.
horrible monster.
But it was just like, wait, what?
But that she was too soft and too idealistic.
Easily emotionally compromised.
Easily emotionally compromised, basically, yeah. And then the remaining members are, they're basically like a laundry list of pressure points that were easily exploited, that sort of thing. Along with who in their orbits were dangerous or useful. There was a note about to Sibylith being particularly dangerous because she's extremely observant and likely will be a problem.
Yeah, so that tells how
They may have been trying to get a foothold in.
that at least tells us they had been observing for a good number of weeks. Because
at the time.
Yeah.
That is typical politics.
Is there a way that we can get Indeel here instead of talking to him there in case someone in the council room would tip off whoever these belong to?
I mean,
somebody can go get them.
I mean,
I
yeah,
can
we
try to send
can probably just say,
Brightwing.
hey, we need to talk to you somewhere in private.
But Brightwing might not be the most non-obvious person.
I can.
Do you
I
want
can go
me to
get
go
him.
ask him?
Or Elias can just magic talk in his head.
I mean, I could. Yeah.
That might be the simplest. I mean, yeah, or I could stand outside and magic talk in his head, but I suspect Elias is the easiest.
I
yes,
like
we do have
subtlety
plenty
in this case.
And any idea what you need to figure out what the other documents say?
I mean, there's some kind of. I was just thinking about that. There's some kind of magic
spell.
on it. Yeah, so I'm not sure if I might just have to rest up and so I can dispel it, or if that'll work.
It seems
worth a
I mean,
try.
that seems worth trying before we talk to Indiel. Perhaps.
Got any
Just-
more of that in you?
I mean, I gotta rest up.
Wait an hour. It's not like
Yeah.
we're talking
have plenty
to
of time
Indiel
here.
right
in the
now
interim
versus in an hour.
of this casual walking and talking and discussion and planning, you could easily have taken a short rest.
Sweet. Well, then I will. There's not any indication of like dating to these that I'm able to read before I dispel them, is there?
It's just gibberish. It's like looking at lorem ipsum that shifts and moves and changes.
I mean, is there any other factors that I can, like the age of the parchment or the ink or the seal, to try and determine which one is the oldest?
None of them are that different in terms of the paper to really tell.
Well, then I'll just do one at random.
Okay. All right, you cast spell magic.
Yeah.
And you can see what started out as like strangely shifting and morphing letters all begin to kind of fall and snap into place. And you can see this is basically the equivalent of like Cerberus assembly letterhead in a way. But it is it's a letter, short, curt, to the point, addressed to Master Doolin Tversky, Archmage of Dysology.
I will read it out loud as I translate it.
Okay.
Master what?
Doolin Tversky.
Cut off at the last bit of that, but
I will copy and paste.
Yes, please.
It's probably a good idea.
Tversky.
Master Doolin Tversky, Archmage of Dysology.
Edwin Womhop
For the record, that is the one.
Thank you. I thought it.
I mean, that's the one that shows up in the Darrington Brigade one shot.
Oh, it really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
I'm fairly certain. Yeah.
Right.
It's been a minute since I've watched.
I forgot about
sounds
that.
familiar, so
Yeah.
if I recognize it, that probably is.
Okay. It would take, so there's three letters. It would take a dispel for each. I'm going to presume that you cast dispel magic among among you to cast them all.
I mean, I'll just do it.
Right.
I mean, I don't care.
I don't have it pre-written, but the synopsis is that there's Doolin Tversky. Basically, they're letters between. One is a letter between Doolin and Athesius Uludan, the Archmage of Diplomatic Union, talking about relationships and establishing good ties. The potential advantages of establishing good ties with the Council of Gordon. They have a significant amount of influence and power over the Western Menagerie Coast, and they could be a good ally, especially if the Empire wanted to increase its diplomatic connections with certain select members of the Clovis Concord. The other letter is a letter from Vestarogna, Archmage of Antiquity. And it seems to be answering questions about the potential for pre-calamity artifact in the Western Menagerie Coast. And her response is that she hadn't really spent a whole lot of time, but considering the largely untamed nature of the Lushgut Forest, and what information they do know about some of the strange extraplanar activity going on, that it seems to be Master Tversky's area of expertise, being that she is primarily interested in all things extraplanar and strange and alien. And then the last letter is from am missing the name. Didn't write it down. Yes. It is a letter from Elysia Lapidus, the Marquis of Port de Mali. Basically, just sort of a generic, sort of meaningless diplomatic message talking about how the Empire and Clovis Concord are friends. But it kind of makes references to an upcoming social event that she hopes to see Master Tversky attend, and it seems rather inconsequential and nondescript.
Can I tell at all if it's coded?
It might
just
be.
Out of curiosity.
Go ahead and make a intelligence check or investigate.
It's a 13.
You've got a feeling that there's something that you're not getting.
Mm-hmm.
The other two were explicitly letters from members of the assembly talking about both relationships with Warden, as well as inquiries about artifacts and magic of the region. The third letter was talking about like a party, and how there's an open invitation for Master Tversky anytime.
Would there be any relation to the date of the party with anything else that we might know about, or has it already passed?
As far as the dates, both the letters from the assembly are months old.
But the party referenced, did it have a time frame?
It did not. And there is no date specifically on the letter either.
Insight check a letter, can you?
Closer look at this later.
I wouldn't mind helping with that. You've got my curiosity with this one.
This one I will write up and send over so that everyone can look at it.
Okay.
To
But
puzzle it
if
out.
this is from who I think who
I'm
it
on board
says
with
it's
that.
from, then that means that someone else outside of the assembly knew that a member of the assembly was here. It wasn't hidden.
I mean, it could have just been a letter. It's not like it was sent explicitly here. They were carrying it with them.
And they could teleport around.
That's true.
Could easily pick it up from where.
It's definitely interesting, but in the meantime, we should definitely
Yeah.
at least let Indial know that they've been under observation.
Yeah.
I agree.
And perhaps if they knew very little on him, perhaps he knows more about them.
More
than
about if he
they
seemed
thought.
like he was.
He may have been onto them.
Yeah.
Do you want to message him?
Yeah, I'll send him
That seems reasonable.
Send him a text.
Or step outside the hut.
You poop it?
Send Indel a magic text.
Right. All right, 25 words or less.
I found some letters you should probably see. We're wherever we are. I'm like, I don't know. We're at that house.
Where we've been staying.
where we've been staying.
Come alone.
Come alone.
Important.
Important. Wait.
Eloquent.
He's used to it.
I like to think that Indio caught that last part.
Like just a pause and then he's used to it.
There's a moment, and then you can hear Indil's response. And he sounds sort of bemused. Understood. Give me a few.
He's on his way, or will be shortly.
All right. Oh, I forgot. And I'm going to pull out the 300 gold of diamond dust and toss that over to Elias. I swiped that too. Thought it might be useful.
Yeah.
Does Weirya need to recast the hut to allow Indil in?
I mean, she certainly can while we're waiting for Indil.
I'm curious what.
I mean, it's. I don't know. You don't really have to. That's up to Brendan.
I always wondered how that worked.
You can probably just do it at will as you.
Yeah, I mean, if I need to, we probably have plenty of time for her to do it. Either way.
I think it's one of those things where you can just sort of will it.
Fair
and if
enough.
you want to have fun with anyone, you can expel them.
Expel them. Shoved it out of the dome.
Weirya just kicks everyone out of the dome.
Get out.
She's actually going to do that.
You're lucky. You're lucky. Weirya's really, really nice and not likely to kick everyone out of the dome.
All right.
I'm sorry, spell time. Boosh.
So it's about
violently ejected.
It's not too long later, but given the amount of time it would take to walk council chambers to here, it seems that he left almost immediately to come to where to meet where you're at. He is accompanied by a pair of guards, but he leaves them at the door as I presume you let him in.
Mm-hmm.
He steps in, he looks around and smiles a little bit. Good choice.
It's comfortable.
Yeah.
You deserve that much at least. So you said there was letters?
Yes. Aiden's.
Found some evidence that the Cerberus assembly from the Empire was observing Gordon.
Keep an eye on Indil as he hears that to see.
Yeah. Does that seem surprising?
Yeah.
He does not seem to react with surprise.
Yeah, figured.
But I'm guessing you already at least suspected that.
Suspected, yes. It's simply the nature of the council to spy and pry on one another, and undoubtedly other governments. I mean,
do you think one of the other council members brought them into this?
I would doubt that. Yeah, I don't believe that any of them would sully themselves with the machinations of a primarily human empire from another part of Wildemount. Ostensibly, the cities of the Menagerie Coast are bound up in the Clovis Accord, but even among them, there is intrigue, and Gordon has always been, shall we say, a little independent from the influence of the rest of the Concord. The Zalezo have never really been much of a presence here. There has been a token embassy of sorts, but it's the council that wields power here, really, more so than the Clovis, despite Gordon being a signatory member. So it would be of no surprise that any number of external agents were at play. I wouldn't put it past the Cerberus Assembly. I had heard something of an expedition that you all had confirmed, but that wasn't something that happened anywhere near here. I didn't realize that they were... You said you found them where?
So, stone building about 3 streets over, always locked up. Who did that belong to?
It was a fairly reclusive old chap. I don't know if I ever knew his name, but an elf. I would just have presumed that the illusions on the building to make it look more elaborate were typical of those who lived here in Guarden, but...
Suspect not an elf.
Definitely wasn't an elf living
And
there.
there's nothing typical about a place with 18 traps in the first room and a rug that tries to eat you.
Pen?
We didn't.
I was big on home security.
That sounds like
We didn't poke the
Cerberus
rug.
Assembly.
Which means that they were pretty good at hiding.
The teams who retrieved supplies from wherever they could avoided. There was a bit of a mishap, and ever since no one else had attempted to enter that building, I had simply assumed it was some arcane defenses, but it seems there's more to it than just that.
Well, certainly part of it.
There's a teleportation circle down in the basement. It's possible they could pop back in. But I mean, with the council not here, I'm not sure how much reason there is to.
We hadn't gotten there yet. There is a teleportation circle.
Teleportation circle down there, apparently.
That is concerning.
Should we wreck it?
No, they can be useful, but it is concerning.
It's not the sort that just automatically activates when you step into it. It is the sort that requires actual magical ability to activate.
Mm-hmm. Those take some considerable amount of time. And
I just realized I was muted this whole time that I've been trying to talk.
Oh.
Velis, you look like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, just be careful if you decide you want to poke around. I wouldn't try it. I'm pretty sure that half of the room is set to explode down there.
I have no interest in sticking my nose into the Assembly's affairs, but if you do learn anything else, what they may have been trying to do while they were here.
Did the man who used to live here, did he live there? Did he go with the rest of the council? Do you know?
I don't.
I mean, if he didn't even know his name, I presume they didn't stick out very much.
Yes.
They could also be disguised as someone else, since they clearly were not actually an elf.
Some people are very good at staying out of notice.
The use of illusion and transformative magics was so common that it was often considered to be gauche to try and pierce and see beyond the veils that everyone are. So it would be no difficult thing to remain hidden, even in the heart of
Interesting approach, I suppose.
Just be careful. If
Yeah.
they start poking around again.
No, that's fairly certain. Word has spread that that place is to be avoided.
I think it's less likely something here in the city and more they wanted to poke around the area, but that's speculation.
Thank you. This is.
Yeah, we figured.
I may have been more concerned with this relation, but don't know what their agenda would be now. The council, for all intents and purposes, disbanded, and their influence minimal at best.
Did you know
It's good to
anything
know.
about what had been happening out in the ruins? Weeks ago, at this point, month perhaps?
The where you had encountered the mercenaries from the assembly. Other than just earthquakes and some seismic activity that seemed unusual, most of those in the Council of Guarden paid little attention to anything beyond our own. It's the Rangers, really, that knew much of what was going on in the region.
I suppose the question is, how close do we look at this compared to what else we need to do? Is it even connected at all?
I feel like I want to give these people as wide a berth as possible for as long as possible.
That is a very good idea.
Like a good time.
They don't fuck around.
That does seem wise. Do you know who it was?
Look at Aiden.
Yeah.
Do you know members of the assembly?
According to what we've read, the one who seemed to be staked out here was a Doolin Tversky.
I'm only vaguely familiar with the name. It seems unusual that one of the leading members of the assembly would take such a personal interest.
Not you have
going
any
on
idea,
here?
perhaps wherefore?
Understand their interests are in alien and extraplanar threats
Ah,
to the Empire.
well, that makes a hell of a lot of sense all of a sudden.
Considering
Worried about
your own travels in the Feywild and the Shadowfell, and that which has come, seems that this is possible it may have attracted them.
Well, I mean, if there's a mine fire camp out in the mountains, that seems like as good a reason as any for someone like that to have an interest in this place.
Quite possible. If was there anything else down there besides the circle?
Lots of implementations for writing scrolls, lots and lots of books.
highly trapped
Spell.
items of many kinds.
Seems almost
Things for spell casting.
a personal sanctum of sorts.
Looks that way.
Hmm.
Something that they very much wanted to make sure no one would find from the outside.
Like it. If it were me, was a personal abode like none other than perhaps the arc itself about. At least location.
You're cutting in and out, Brendan. You gotta stay close to the mic.
Sorry. He muses that he'd have some safe house in and amongst potentially hostile territory that it would likely, and that he would not be. I have a few hidey holes in the city myself that others in the council were not aware of.
So
If this seemed to be a personal
Mm-hmm.
sanctum rather than a assembly facility, then that might seem to imply perhaps less than a organizational effort to come to more personal interest.
Well, you think there's some chance that if he decides to show up again, realizing that it wasn't quite as secure as he thought it was, might run him off for a little bit?
I don't know. Much like the council, the assembly trades in secrets, move in the shadow. Direct confrontation, not. But I would take care. And avoid mentioning this to anyone else. I don't want anyone to get curious or to get caught up in any assembly business or become a target.
Of course.
We have enough of our own problems to deal with.
That is why you want here. And she's gesturing to the dome.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is wise.
Yeah.
But I have another meeting. Must attend. If you do find anything else further, please bring it to my attention.
Have you
I
had
don't
any
think I
problems
have-
of late?
Okay.
I don't think I have to tell you this, but watch your back.
I always do. Tell me, they didn't happen to have a cellar, perhaps, with any wine?
Not that we'd noticed, but you never know what hidden doors might be there.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, if they did, it would probably be heavily trapped.
Have you been dealing with problems?
Mostly just spell components, honestly.
More troubles than usual.
Well, that all seems to be of much more use. I mean,
I noticed you had a run-in with somebody from the Cobalt Soul earlier.
Oh,
What's that about?
Hannah. She is insistent that we accelerate our efforts in the city so that she can Oh, and he puts on sort of a higher pitched voice to kind of emulate her own voice. Ensure that the accumulated knowledge of the soul has been retained despite all the efforts of the council to subjugate and eliminate the efforts, and kind of goes on. But we can't spare anyone. But apparently there seems to have been a hidden cache of I don't know what. But the Cobalt Soul had been routinely rebuffed from establishing an outpost here in Gordon to study some of the extraplanar phenomenon in the region. But seemingly they had done so nevertheless. And she is quite insistent that we help her recover what we can. But we don't have people to...
They weren't here with permission anyway.
Yeah. The council felt that it would be better that information and knowledge about the region be kept close to the chest. That arcane magic, at least the practice of it, be monitored and regulated.
That sounds like the council, honestly.
What you were hiding.
But the thing about trying to exact tyrannical control over anything is that the harder that you squeeze, the more grip you lose. I'm not surprised. But I'm also unable to help her. I have avoided pointing her in your direction, but if you wish to seek her out, you can.
Well, what's the particular issue in that area?
Yes.
It just hasn't been cleared and confirmed that it's safe.
Oh.
She's intelligent. But I don't think that she would even know which end of a blade to hold properly. So she is not quite equipped to wander the streets. I cannot spare anyone to accompany her.
I see.
They couldn't send someone more appropriate for the job?
Hath word not gone that far of what happened? It hath been still pretty recently.
We haven't gotten that far. I, despite the protestations and urging of quite a few people, am not going to take any unnecessary risk. Either all of her books are there, or they are not. And getting there faster is not going to help. Or change
It's not
that.
like the aberrations are interested in the books.
That is precisely my... There have been no uncontrolled fires or other such things in the city, so I doubt that there is any danger of it having been burned down. Damaged in a building
Where did we set
collapse,
the bar on
potentially.
fire?
What the hell was that?
Oops. It was a barn. It was just a barn. It's fine.
Yeah.
At roughly the southeastern part of the city. Actually.
Yeah, so we didn't
pop over there.
accidentally burn down a
oh god.
cobalt.
All right.
gold.
So the
Repository of knowledge.
this C is where the it was sort of like a large open courtyard area. A lot of animals would get stabled, and there were blacksmiths and vets and that sort of area was where you'd have like farm supplies and things like that. And that's where you kind of cleared all that out. The location specifically is a few blocks away from there. And since they're kind of going from a northwestern to southeastern spread, it's one of the last places they're going to get to. That she is hot to trot to ensure that everything that they had apparently surreptitiously gathered and saved is preserved. But he makes his goodbyes and goes to
If
leave.
we find any
anyone
wine,
else.
we'll send it your way.
Thank you, he says as he
Get that man some moonshine.
Yeah.
Oh no. No, it's wine. He wants wine. There is no wine to be found. He has
I feel that.
Can't be too picky when you're
exactly.
He's
have to make do.
He's still a little bit accountable.
He has his moments.
He is willing to go without if that means he does get something. He'll even choose cheap wine.
He'll take cheap wine if that's all he can
That's
get.
fine.
$2 Chuck will do, but he's not going to do moonshine.
Fair enough.
Well, this cobalt soul. Do you all think she could be helpful?
Would Elias know about the cobalt soul?
We were kind of discussing that earlier.
Yeah.
Elias would probably be
At least
somewhat
vaguely
aware of them.
familiar with what the organization is.
Yeah, like they're followers of Ioun, and
Yeah.
Ioun is a diminished goddess, but still around. But the followers of Ioun are typically more academic than religious.
Yeah.
And that the Order of the Cobalt Soul is the closest thing to a clergy, and there's no similarity between typical religious practices in the Cobalt Soul. It's more like it's more like an academic institution, and their research and their activities would regularly get them censored in Vasselheim, because it all too often came very, very close to slipping into the research and expansion of arcane magic. So they had to walk a very fine line in Vasselheim as to what they would allow and what kind of books were available. Also, it tended to be the only people that were in Vasselheim from the Cobalt Soul were people who tended to get. It's almost like they were exiled because that particular I don't think the word library is appropriate, but that particular arm of the Cobalt Soul was explicitly forbidden from arcane teleportation magic. And so anyone who would go there would have to go by ship. That takes a very long time. And so most of the people there are there because they got the short end of a stick. Or they're, that basically the troublemakers would all get sent to Vasselheim because there's so much strict rules and law, and they could easily make their way back. That and so they would constantly be the people who would get in trouble and whatnot. So it's yeah.
So I probably knew a couple of them. On a first name basis. You're like, really?
that's rough, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very likely.
Last time.
That.
Well, do we want to go talk to this member of the Cobalt Soul, or do we want to
I
do
don't know that
something
we
else?
necessarily need to.
Yeah, I mean, she might have more information on, where we're going, but I don't know.
We already know where we're going at this point,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Or
we
have
know
some
a general direction, not the exacts yet.
River near the mines
Mm-hmm.
to start.
Yeah.
I suppose.
Yeah. I guess the real question is, how soon do we head out?
As soon as.
Wasn't there a reason we went poking around in that house to begin with?
Yeah.
We were looking for incense.
I think
For the
Velas
legend
got-
happened to-
Honestly, I think
Brunel and
Velas
Velis were
got
just
curious.
looking around and scavenging, and they found a house that
For any
was
particular reason?
We were attempting to find incense for Elias for his spell.
Found it.
When someone puts that many traps on something, something interesting is inside, right?
I mean, yeah, I don't blame you.
Well, something was apparently, but
Not complaining, just confused.
No, I'm just trying to get
We
back
were
to-
trying to find incense so that Elias could figure out what that toward the sword. We just found apparently a bunch of political bullshit instead.
yes, apparently we
And
found
incense.
something.
Also,
Did
not
it
instead.
Also,
So I wasn't sure if
I
anyone
did
heard me for the last several minutes, but
find a lot of incense.
Yeah.
Oh, that was only half of it.
Yeah, there was about 10,000 gold pieces of various spell.
We don't know if the council member will be back, so perhaps not taking all of their spell components is wise.
or perhaps
I wonder if I should have taken all of it.
if it is if
just
this
go
is
back.
not the best
could
group, then
Take all of the spell components. That's true.
I'm certain if they knowest if they are
have to know
as intent in their studies and knowledge as you all seem to say, they are going to notice that half of their incense is gone and several bits of diamond
I should
dust.
have taken it all.
Yeah.
We can go back and take all of it if you want, fellas.
It's still there.
It's not for me.
All the traps have either been disarmed, blocked, or otherwise. And as long as you are careful, you don't necessarily set anything off.
I mean, I don't want you to get yourself blown up just trying to get me some incense.
If I got blown up after we found exactly where all of the traps are, I would probably deserve it.
I would not bring you back. That's on you.
I would say also specifically that in addition to various types of rare oils and unguents and stuff, there's specifically about 1,000 gold pieces worth of residuum.
Oh shit!
If I had seen that, I would have grabbed that.
Yeah, wait, what?
I would have grabbed that.
Yeah. Basically, they were it's in heavily reinforced jars amongst it.
If I would have been familiar with residuum enough to recognize what it was, I would have grabbed that.
Okay, then you've got 1,000 gold of residuum.
Yeah. I'll just kind of set that down, and if someone wants to put that in the bag of holding, I'm sure it could be useful.
Fair enough. Should we? The question is, do we want to go get anything else, or do we want to leave it as is?
I mean, at this point, it's pretty obvious someone's been through their stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, I think it was fairly obvious when we
splintered the
broke in
door,
front door
looking at
and-
Hayden.
Disarmed all the
Hey, we can break in and not take anything. That's one way to.
That would probably be me even more unusual.
Yeah.
We just ransacked it to do.
We just broke in and left
Just
all the
cause.
fancy
What's
things.
the true jerk move?
If anything, he's probably just going to think that It happened when the city got attacked. Someone went
And I mean,
looting.
a lot of spell components are just valuable in and of themselves. It's, jewels and stuff. So.
I mean,
I'm
having
sure any looter has the tools and the capability to break through all those wards and traps.
Well, that certainly did happen, to be fair. Was that
Never
not
know.
what we were
Maybe there's a
doing technically?
magically inclined looter.
What are adventurers if not glorified looters?
I mean, if you really want something else, I will go pick it up. It wouldn't take that long.
I mean, if we're going to take more, we might as well just take all of it. But if we're not going to take more, we should probably leave it alone.
Shoveling stuff into the bag of holding.
Yeah.
There's
it's like mercury, platinum dust, gold dust, silver dust. There's the diamond dust. There's residuum. Probably a couple hundred gold worth of a few different types of gemstones and whatnot. Like just a smorgasbord of stuff. I mean, if you want to go take it all, I'll go write it up.
I kind of want to go just shove everything in the bag of holding.
Just go along the shelves, just whoosh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Lyria let me borrow the bag and give me 20 minutes.
There you go.
We need to refill it with books after we don't have any smut anymore to give to dragons.
I'm gonna do it.
Okay. Yeah, so Velis goes back.
While
and
he's
basically
doing that, I'm probably going to be looking through that other letter again.
Okay. All right. I'll write that up because it's definitely a coded letter. You're going to probably want to muse over it a little bit.
Yeah.
But Velis Grinches the entirety of
Master
Archmage
Duelin Tversky's sword.
And then I'll come back and I'll just start unloading everything in the room and going, well, so there was this and this and
Question.
this and this, and I have no idea what this is.
So the chair was magical, the rug was magical.
Yes.
Do you take those?
No.
We knew what the rug was.
I am not touching anything that pinged a trap.
Okay.
I am taking
There's also all of
spell
the supplies, the paper, the inks, all of that stuff.
We dispelled that, so I will take that.
Okay.
Because that can actually be very useful for me specifically.
So basically, yeah, you Grinch the place. There's literally nothing left except the chair and the rug.
It's going on a business sale.
And the ladder.
The question is, and the ladder. Do you try and pry up anything on the mat?
Anything what?
Do you try and pry up any of the material or anything in the magic circle, or do you leave that alone as
I'm
is?
gonna leave that alone.
Okay. So in that wooden bowl by the front door, there's a copper piece and a silver piece.
I'm leaving that alone.
Okay.
That's suspicious.
Yeah.
What about
Extremely suspicious.
what about the tapestry?
Nope.
Okay.
I just want
those were not magical, by the way.
I just wanted the spell components and the writing implements because I can actually use writing implements for the infiltration expertise feature.
Okay, so I'm going to make a note of that, and I will give you an inventory of all of that.
What was on that tapestry?
Over the tapestry.
It was a picture of the
Landscape.
Feywild.
Like one was the
Feywild, yeah.
Feywild, but they were like, none of them were material plane. They were all like sort of wild and different locations and things like that. But
when
also you have the personal seal of an Archmage of the Cerberus Assembly.
That's useful.
Oh shit!
That's
yeah,
dangerous.
That's super dangerous in Velsa's hands.
Dangerous or both?
Oh, why not both?
No, why not the both?
But yeah, just sitting on the floor and just taking everything out
Cataloging
piece
it.
by piece and taking an inventory.
Sure. Also, apparently, I need to come up with a list of like 100-something books, so I'll do that.
Hey, I'm down for reading. I want to know about what happened afterwards. There's like history books after.
Oh yeah.
Hell yes.
if
I can
Purnell
catch the fuck up.
requested it, but I wasn't going to go book looting.
I have so much history to
were?
catch up on. This
Oh.
is great.
I
Okay.
would just grab a few of them if Purnell requested it. I'd grab like 5.
Yes,
or so.
please.
Oh yeah. Oh sure.
Yeah, I mean, well, all the books would probably be a bit much.
Yeah, I'll take like 5 books and the spell components and
Okay.
the writing
Books
tools.
that look entertaining.
Because I was gonna say like it would be.
Any smut?
Yeah.
Oh god. Yeah, do all the what was it? What is wizard smut?
Not that Velis. I mean, unless you want to open up and read every single book, it
I'm
would
just
be difficult to
5
tell.
books at random.
Right. Okay.
At
5
random.
books at random. Okay.
Aw.
I will come up with those.
Roll
Give me history books.
I mean, I don't know. They're unless they have titles on them that I could infer.
A lot of them don't. At least not on the spines or
Amazing.
you know, you'd have to like open them up and.
That's
kinda
when
look
you
at
would
them
go
to see.
across the shelf into the bag of holding just like that.
Yeah, I thought that's what you were doing.
Nope.
I thought that's what you were doing.
I'm not taking
Not
that
nearly
much
as
time.
funny.
I mean, that
It's
doesn't
not,
take
but I wasn't
time.
going to take as much time as that. I just wanted to be...
Sadness.
You wanted
I'm just
in
gonna
and out
get
as quickly
all
as possible.
arcane books that I can't understand.
I mean,
obviously, Tony, thank you so much for the read.
someone
Hi,
else can go do that too. Like
it's true.
True.
You don't have to be
How's
sneaky
your
like
stream?
Velis to just. Really, the only thing left is don't touch the rug, don't step on the step, and you're.
That's true.
Don't sit.
Most. Don't sit in the chair.
Yeah. If I
Or
know
get on
Velis
the
isn't
ladder.
going to get me books, I might look through those books.
Well, I would grab books. I just wasn't going to grab the entire shelf full of books.
Well, if you're not going to look at them, like think back. Would Velis actually look at the books to and then go?
Purnell asked for them. I am doing this specifically for you.
Purnell just goes back and takes all the books.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, you
So
certainly can.
ungrateful.
But I mean that's a significant amount of accumulated knowledge and information. And like I said, not all of them were like printed books, mass produced. Some of them were handwritten using unusual materials, possibly from unusual sources. So
Yeah. Well, at least none of them seem to be made out of like human or elf skin. Yeah. So
nothing made from skin.
good.
Next time, find the Necronomicon.
Yeah. I need a lot of
No,
reading material.
Okay. So having looted that, you still have most of the rest of the day open to you to do other things, but it is gotten late. And this might be a good place to stop so that I can catch up to some of the things that you all have uncovered and provide you some inventories and letters and books.
We're
and
finally
things.
getting info dumps.
Yeah. It can sometimes be very, very difficult for me to sit down and write a whole bunch of stuff.
And then maybe we'll get a legend lore. We'll have more info dumps.
And a legend lore.
Legend lore.
Elias was going to do legend lore, yeah.
Because like I've
That's why we got
done that
incense.
before, where I've created like, oh, this whole thing, and then like day one, the party goes in the opposite direction, and so
Yeah, what we do.
Yeah.
I mean, the general rule is you can prepare 5 things and the party will go in the 6th direction you didn't think of. So
So that's why I have sometimes skeleton notes, because I never know what you guys are. So just give me a moment and I'll flesh that out.
I'm very pleased I got to rogue.
Oh yeah,
I got to rogue real good.
So rogue.
that hut's been there since day one.
I'm
you got to rogue both really good and really badly at the same time.
Yeah, right.
Okay, but only one of them was really bad. All of the others were okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just almost killed us all, you know.
I'm sure there are so many things we just like
roll.
skipped over.
Yeah.
Like I feel like there was so much more story to like what Lilith and we just didn't care to ask about.
I wasn't there. I was saying if you ever need a mouthpiece for dump, assume Purnell's gonna ask questions.
Yeah.
I will take that into account.
Weird just didn't want to draw the attention of weird fake Fae lady that wanted her to stay.
That's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, you didn't ask one question, and it's just like, okay.
Okay, bye.
Thank you all for playing
Yay.
again.
Good times.
That was
and
good.
playing along.
Yeah.
Oh no, I exploded roll 20.
Oh man.
What have you done?
We're done with session.
How dare!
Thank you so much for the raid, LBC Tony.
Oh, it's a raid.
Tony D, appreciate it. And thank you so much for the sub, 165 Gibbo. Please let me, if you're still around, please tell me, because I need to allow me to serenade you as I do with everyone who subs to me for the first time. But I guess, what's our timing for next week?
Good for next week.
Are we good for next week?
Mostly, yeah.
Hey, we're good for next week. Look at that.
I was just double checking timing and calendar and everything, and I'm good.
Great. So we should be back next week. Otherwise, my next stream should be on Monday. Don't quite know if we have our DM for normal D&D night, but if not, I'll probably either do Jackbox games or Twitch things like I generally do in the off time. Obviously, Tony, thank you so much for the sub. 4 months of subs. You're amazing. But sure, let me jump over and not bug everyone. So I will. Yay. So, okay, you're still around. Yay, good. So, allow me to serenade you as I do. Assuming this all works still. Yay, good. Okay. I don't have my the thing came off my ukulele, so I don't have my normal strap. So this might be interesting, but I'm gonna try. Here we go. I don't know if I ever serenaded you, Tony, but I'll just do it at the same time, since I think I missed the first time around. Hey, 165 Gibbo and Tony. The truth is, I don't need validation, but it's a nice thing to have on occasion. So thank you for that special ovation in the form of monetary donation. That's what I call a sub in this melodic narration. Hope you enjoy my set of cutesy illustrations, emotes. Oh, let me move to where? Oh, let me